Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Wuhun, awakening double martial spirit, but the system ran away. Chapter 61. Association. Lin Yu came to the Soul Ring trading shop. After walking around inside the shop, he looked at the shop owner. "Boss, do you have a soul bone here?" The shop owner smiled and said, "The customer is joking. People who sell soul bones will not come to my place. They will be sent to the auction house." Lin Yu smiled and said, "It's okay if it doesn't have a vintage date." The guest was joking. The Federation does not allow the sale of soul bones without age. Although the trading shop owner still smiled and answered politely, it was obviously not as natural as before. "This is obviously in stock." "Boss, I came from Jinling. Don't you know if Boss Jin from Jinling City is familiar with you?" Hearing this, the shop owner smiled. "It turns out he is a customer of Lao Jin. Please come in." The boss asked a waiter to take Lin Yu to the reception room, and then he called Boss Jin of Jinling City, and the call was quickly answered. "Hey, the sun is out in the west today. I want you, the big boss of Magic City, to call me." "Lao Jin, stop talking nonsense. I have a strange guest here today. He said he came from your Jinling City and wanted to buy young soul bones. Is this person reliable?" Boss Jin thought about it and said, "Well, I don't wear gluttonous animal skins and wrap myself up tightly, but my voice doesn't sound that old, right? It seems to be true. I heard what he said and bought it from you. There is indeed a person who wants to buy young soul bones for collection. There is no age limit. How many do he want to buy? He usually wants as much as he wants. The last thing I sold him was a sharp-clawed lynx right arm bone." Quote. Just when Lin Yu was bored waiting, the boss here appeared. "Excuse me for keeping the guests waiting. My surname is Li. Guests can just call me Lao Li." "Boss Li, I must have gone to confirm the news with Boss Jin. I do have this hobby. As much as Boss Li has, I might as well take it all out. If it suits me, I will take them all. Don't be like Boss Jin. At the beginning test me with a rat leg. Ha ha, guests are happy. Guests, please wait a moment." After speaking, Boss Li got up and left. Soon after, he brought 3 large boxes over, and then opened the boxes towards Lin Yu. A sewer rat head soul bone, an anaconda torso bone, a swamp crocodile right arm bone, a swamp crocodile left arm bone, a coyote right leg bone, and 2 sewer rat left leg bones, all aged less than 100 years. Lin Yu asked with a smile, "Is this all Boss Li's goods? Are there any more? If there are any more, don't hide them, take them all out, I want them all." The guests were joking. These were in stock many years ago, and almost no one brings them here now. Lin Yu nodded. Then Boss Li, please make an offer. Guest, since you and Lao Jin are also acquaintances, I won't ask for random prices. How about 3,000? Lin Yu knew that this Boss Li had definitely colluded with Boss Jin from Jinling. They were all evil-hearted profiteers who treated him like a fat sheep. 3,000, just 3,000. I want it. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he put away the 7 soul bones and took out 30 stacks of federal coins. After both parties confirmed that there were no problems, Lin Yu decided to leave. Boss Li stopped him again. "Guest, please wait." Lin Yu was a little confused, so Boss Li took out an invitation and handed it to him. "At 8 o'clock tonight, Guardian Auction House will hold an auction. If you are interested, you may wish to go and have a look." "Thank you very much, Boss Li." Lin Yu put away the invitation and left the Adventurers Association. He estimated that the Guardian Auction House and the Adventurers Association must also have shares, otherwise Boss Li would not be so enthusiastic. After returning to the hotel, it was not yet 3 o'clock in the afternoon and Chen Jing was still taking a nap. Lin Yu changed clothes and lay on the sofa to check the 7 soul bones in the system space. The system storage space panel has its own identification function. Soul bone from the head of a sewer rat, age, 30, soul skill, danger perception. Anaconda trunk bone, age, 50, soul skill, entanglement. Swamp crocodile right arm bone, age, 30, soul skill, armor piercing claw attack. Swamp crocodile left arm bone, age, 40, soul skill, death roll. The left leg bone of a jungle wolf, age, 50, soul skill, howling. The left leg bone of a sewer rat, age, 30, soul skill, fast running. It's still rubbish as always, but the soul skill of the crocodile's left claw is a bit interesting. The death roll is the crocodile's strongest physical attack. Lin Yu thought about it and decided to give a rat leg 100,000 years. The left leg bone of the Rat King, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, extremely fast running, Rat King clone. Lin Yu then looked at the introduction of the Mouse King's clone soul skill. Mouse King's clone. Incarnate as the Mouse King, and can create 10 clones of the Mouse King. Each clone has 1/3 of the strength of the original body. If it advances, it will attack in groups, and if it retreats, it will if the fake is mistaken for the real. Every 100,000 years of the soul bone can add 10 more clones of the Rat King. It's a bit similar to the right leg bone of Tang Yanren's Skeleton King, but it turns into a mouse, which is a bit uncomfortable. I'll sell it to the auction house later in the evening. Let's exchange it for some money to spend. I gave Wadi 7 billion, and I recently no money. Chen Jing, who was wearing pajamas, walked out of the room. When she saw Lin Yu on the sofa, she walked over. Xiao Yu, you are back. Well, I've been back for a while. Lin Yu handed the invitation to Chen Jing. Chen Jing took it and sat on the sofa. She opened the invitation and took a look at it, and then returned it to Lin Yu. The auction is held at 8 o'clock tonight. Shall we go and take a look at it tonight? Lin Yu nodded. Let's go and have a look. I haven't participated in an auction yet. At this moment, Chen Wenwen also got up. The three of them got ready and started going downstairs to go shopping. The commercial street in Magic City is much larger than that in Jinling, and the streets are full of people. The three of them started walking around and bought some suitable things when they saw them. The three of them also bought a few sets of suitable clothes each, including summer clothes and autumn clothes. At around 6 o'clock, the three of them found a local restaurant. Lin Yu took a look at the menu and saw that the prices were much more expensive than in Jinling. He ordered some local special dishes. Brother, what are your plans for the evening? After dinner, let's go back to the hotel first and take you to see something you haven't seen before. Soon after, the food was served and the three of them started eating. Lin Yu tasted it and found out that most of the meat was monster meat. After being professionally processed by the chef, the taste was naturally just right. Chen Wenwen held a braised pork knuckle and ate it. Brother, I didn't expect the skin on pork to be so delicious. None of the pork we eat has skin. This requires professional hair removal, which is very troublesome, so we usually peel it off. After the three of them finished dinner, they returned to the hotel. Lin Yu took out a new set of gluttonous animal skin clothes and asked Chen Wenwen to wear them. Chen Wenwen asked with some confusion, Brother, where are we going and why do we need to dress like this? Lin Yu patiently explained to her, We are going to an auction. Dress like this to save yourself a little trouble. Guardian Auction House is the largest auction house in the Blue Star Federation and is located in more than 70 first-tier cities around the world. Lin Yu has never heard of it in Jinling City. Lin Yu and the others came to the door of Guardian Auction House. After showing the invitation, someone came to receive them. A young lady in black uniform greeted the three of them. 3 distinguished guests, please follow me. Lin Yu said directly, I want to increase the auction items tonight. The young lady said politely, I'm sorry, sir. Our Guardian Auction House hosts it every 3 months. The auction items are set as early as a month ago. If you want to auction items, sir, you will have to wait until 3 months later. Lin Yu shook his head. I don't have that much time. Your bank should be very satisfied with my auction items. You can contact your leader. Hearing Lin Yu say this, the young lady started to contact their leader through the intercom, and then took Lin Yu and the others to the reception room, and then brought tea. 3 distinguished guests, please wait a moment. Our appraiser will be here soon. Chen Wenwen still wanted to drink tea, but she gave up drinking tea after being glared at by Chen Jing. Then she sat on the sofa and looked at her surroundings in boredom. At this time, an old man wearing glasses walked in. He should be an appraiser. Lin Yu took out the 100,000-year-old rat emperor's left leg bone and placed it on the coffee table. The old man picked up the left leg bone with both hands, looked at it in detail, and then said to the young man behind him, The rat emperor's left leg bone is more than 100,000 years old. Its soul skills should be speed and clone. Tell the president. This soul bone can be used as the opening auction item tonight. After the old man finished speaking, he left. Then Lin Yu and the other three were fortunate enough to be assigned to a private room on the second floor, where the same young lady from before served them. The young lady took out a brochure and handed it to Lin Yu. Lin Yu took it and looked at it. They were all products for this auction. The young lady continued to speak at this time. Guest, your soul bone should be used as the final auction item, but the previous auction items have been determined, so it can only be used as the opening auction item. Lin Yu turned to the last page of the auction items. The final auction item this time was a key to a secret realm. He also introduced it in detail. The secret realm is called the Wailing Cave. The entry level is from level 3 to level 5. The maximum number of people who can enter the secret realm is 5. The cooldown time of the key is 1 month. Lin Yu then handed the brochure to Chen Jing, and she and Chen Wenwen flipped through it one by one. In the hall downstairs, people came in and sat down one after another. At 8 o'clock, a very beautiful blonde lady walked up to the high platform of the auction venue. Welcome all guests to our Guardian Auction House, which holds an auction every 3 months. It's a great honor for me to hold the auction for you tonight. Lin Yu waved to the young lady on the side, who came over and said, "What's the matter, sir? Who is that woman down there?" The young lady said softly, "Ms. Jones, you just came to Shanghai recently. I heard you came from the headquarters. We don't know for sure. After all, we are just low-level employees." Lin Yu nodded when he heard what the young lady said. The reason why he asked this was that he found that this foreign woman was actually a 9th-level soul saint. She looked like a beautiful woman, but in fact she was probably at the level of an old witch. Besides, when did the saints become so worthless that they became auctioneers? At this moment, a man's voice came from a private room on the second floor. "Okay. Miss Jones, bring in the good stuff. We can't wait. We can let Miss Jones go off in person tonight. Are there any new auction items?" Quote. Miss Jones looked at the private room on the second floor and said with a smile, "Mr. Nolan made a joke. An unexpected item did appear tonight. Without further ado, let's start with the first auction item tonight." At this time, a young lady came up with a tray covered with a piece of red cloth. The young lady put down the tray and uncovered the red cloth to reveal the soul bone underneath. Oh, there was a lot of discussion on the court, and Miss Jones was also very satisfied with the reaction of the people on the court. Someone below couldn't help shouting, "Miss Jones, how old is this soul bone? Miss Jones, what is the soul skill of this left leg bone?" Miss Jones looked at the chaos below and said with a smile, "Everyone, you can see how much money you have brought with you today. I'm afraid you don't have enough money with you today. This soul bone has reached the 10th level. Hiss. Everyone took a breath, and some people started calling their families to inform their families that money was coming. Miss Jones continued, "I know everyone is concerned about what his soul skills are. As we all know, soul bones above the 10th level can have 2 soul skills. This left leg bone has a very practical speed soul skill. In addition, there is also an extremely rare soul clone skill. Are you ready? When you are ready, we will start filming." A voice came from the second floor again. "Miss Jones, can the auction of this soul bone be postponed? Auction other items first." Yes, give us some time to collect money." When Miss Jones saw this scene, she also suppressed her hand, and the venue became quiet again. Since everyone said so, let's put up the second auction item. The second auction item was originally intended to be a warm-up item, a pair of exquisite bracelets. Master Versailles, latest work. He named this bracelet Life Guard. It can use soul power to stimulate the defensive formation on the bracelet to generate a defensive barrier. This defensive barrier can resist attacks below the 6th level. In addition, it has 3 internal 10 square meters of storage space. The starting price is 10 million. Each increase in price will not be less than 1 million. 10 million, 11 million, 1.2 million. The shouts below were still rising, and the price had already reached 50 million. Lin Yu looked at Chen Wenwen on the side and was excited about the bracelet, and then entered 80 million on the bidder on the side. The guest in box 9 bid 80 million, is there anything higher? Chen Jing saw Lin Yu calling out the price, and she was a little confused. Lin Yu couldn't even use up all the storage bags. Why did he need a storage bracelet? Someone below shouted, 120 million. Lin Yu entered 200 million again. Miss Jones smiled and shouted. The guest in box 9 bids 200 million, 200 million once, 200 million twice, 200 million 3 times, deal. Bang! Miss Jones's hammer fell, marking the sale of the first item. Miss Jones handed the hammer to the beautiful lady aside, and she continued the auction work. At this time, the second auction item was brought up. This time it was a weapon. There were far fewer bidders, and Lin Yu and others were not interested. Soon there was a knock on the box door, and the young lady went to open the treasure box door. Someone brought the exquisite bracelet up. Lin Yu took the bracelet, confirmed that there was no problem, and then poured out a pile of federal coins. After someone from the auction house took away the money, Chen Jing said in confusion, "Xiao Yu, this bracelet is a bit worthless. The storage space is only the size of a storage bag, but it is more expensive than a storage ring. As long as Wenwen likes it. I promised to prepare a storage item for her before. Wenwen, this is yours." Chen Wenwen took it with excitement. "Thank you, brother." The auction is still going on, and there are all kinds of strange things. Some rare soul rings are also being sought after by many people. 2,000 years of 9-death resurrection grass. It is said that this grass can bring people back to life after reaching a certain age. The legend needs to be verified. However, the 2,000-year-old 9-death resurrection grass can still treat internal injuries. When there are no soul healers in the wild, it can also a life-saving elixir. The starting price is 1 million, and each increase in price will not be less than 100,000. When Lin Yu heard this voice, he curiously looked at the items on the auction table below. He still knew about the 9-death resurrection plant, Selaginella cypress. Before time travel, he had raised the 9-death resurrection plant, which was said to be immortal. Dead. Product name: 9th death resurrection grass. Years: 2,168 years. Effect: after taking it, the injury can be stabilized. 9-death resurrection herb is a healing medicine that can reshape the body after a certain number of years. Seeing this, Lin Yu looked down and barely called for 2 million. He offered 3 million, and no one stopped calling. Guest number 9 bids 3 million, and there are still bids: 3 million once, 3 million twice, 3 million 3 times. Deal. Lin Yu successfully bought this 9-death resurrection grass for 3 million, and he has now been defined as a stupid rich man by everyone present. At this moment, Miss Jones came over again, replacing the previous auctioneer. Miss Jones smiled and said, "Okay. It's getting late, and there are only 3 items left. I will preside over it." 2,000 years ago. The underground salamander trunk bone, despite its age, is a rare trunk bone, and it has the effect of regenerating severed limbs. The starting price is 10 million, and each increase will be no less than 1 million. Quote. Hearing what Miss Jones said, Lin Yu looked over. Underground salamander trunk bone, age 2314, soul skill, rebirth of severed limbs. Regeneration of severed limbs. Salamanders have the characteristic of rebirth of severed limbs, which allows them to slowly grow back. The growth rate of the severed limbs is affected by the age of the soul bone and the vitality of its own blood. Good guy, it seems to be a scam, but it is actually a rubbish soul skill. If the price is right, I will take it. If the price is too high, I will not want it. As for Tang Yanren, there must be other ways to turn around. The price of 10 million was quickly raised to 1.5 billion, and Lin Yu gave up decisively. The torso bone was indeed rare, and even if it only took 2,000 years, it would be able to command this price. If the soul bones of 2,000 years of limbs are not worth this price, it is estimated that it will be difficult to reach hundreds of millions. Although soul bones are rare, no one is willing to use garbage. The key is that once they are refined and absorbed, they will be difficult to remove unless the hand is broken. Broken legs, torso bones and head soul bones can only fall off after death. In the end, this trunk bone, which was only 2,000 years old, was bought for 1.8 billion. Next was the Secret Realm Key Auction, which was called for 5 billion. Lin Yu felt that the people who bought this kind of thing probably represented a kind of power. The entry level of this thing was too low, and it was only suitable for low-level soul masters to go in and experience. Miss Jones smiled and said, "Okay. Now there's the last item left tonight. I think everyone can't wait. Okay, I won't say any more nonsense. The starting price of this 10th level soul bone is 100 million, each price increase shall not be less than 10 million. As soon as Miss Jones finished speaking, there was a sudden voice. 2 billion, I, Yin Zuyan, want this soul bone. There should be no objections from anyone. At this moment, a handsome man walked in, followed by several people into the auction house, 2 of whom were 9th level soul saints. Miss Jones looked very ugly, and then said, Prince Yin, this is the Guardian auction house, not your Daxia palace. Yin Zuyan said with a smile, Ms. Jones, of course I know this is an auction house. I also pay. Is there any problem? Your auction house's base price is 100 million. Is there any problem if I bid 2 billion? Others are willing to pay more. You can shout about the price. I buy things normally, even if President Smith is here, he won't stop me from buying things. As soon as Yin Zuyan opened his mouth, the whole place was silent. Lin Yu glanced curiously at Yin Zuyan underground. Name, Yin Zuyan. Age, 38. Wuhun, Xuaniao. Soul power, 78. Soul ring, yellow, yellow, purple, black, black and black. Soul skills, fireball, flame shield, burning flame, fire wall, dragon breath, hell flame, black bird true body. The prince and heir to the throne of the great Xia dynasty, he has been practicing the royal family's unique skill, the Great Sun Flame technique, since childhood. Lin Yu took out Barrett and aimed directly at Yin Zuyan. Yin Zuyan immediately felt the threat of death and dodged directly behind a fat soul saint. Both the fat soul saint and another soul saint showed up immediately. The soul rings are all yellow, yellow, purple, black, 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 and red. Miss Jones shouted angrily, Enough. This is the Guardian auction house. If you want to fight, go and fight outside the city. Prince Yin, let me ask you one last time, do you still want to buy this soul ring? Yin Zuyan felt that the threat of death in his body was not reduced because the 2 royal ministers showed off their soul rings. It seemed that the seller was also present. So Yin Zuyan walked out directly and continued, I will offer 100 billion. If there is a higher price, I won't take it. Hearing what Yin Zuyan said, Lin Yu put away Barrett. The price was within his acceptable range. After all, in the Adventurers Association, this was the price that others wanted to buy. Yin Zuyan downstairs felt that the murderous intention of the package disappeared. He knew that the seller recognized his price. Then he waved his hand and a young lady walked up and paid for the soul bone without caring about what others thought. After Yin Zuyan got the soul bone, he left directly with a group of people. Miss Jones directly announced the end of the auction. An auction that should have been wonderful ended hastily because of Yin Zuyan's appearance. Lin Yu met the executive chairman of the Magic City branch of Guardian Auction House and Miss Jones in the reception room. The executive chairman was also a foreigner. Sir, we are deeply sorry for the mishaps in this auction. This is the platinum card of our Guardian Auction House. With this card, you can purchase items at half price at the Guardian Chamber of Commerce in any city. I want to give myself a premium membership card, so that I can go to Guardian Auction House to sell things for free and get a 50% discount on purchases. This guy is just cheating. Lin Yu took the storage bag handed over by Chairman Guardian. In addition to the money for the platinum membership card and soul bones, there was also an extra 203 million. The money for the bracelets and the 9 death resurrection grass was also returned to himself. Boss, what does the 203 million mean? Mr. purchased 2 items from our bank today. This is considered as an apology from our bank to him. I have no other intention. We just hope that today's unhappiness will not affect our cooperative relationship. After Lin Yu and the others left the auction house, they saw Yin Zuyan and his party standing on the side of the road without leaving. Lin Yu took Chen Jing and Chen Wenwen in his arms and walked directly to the bus stop. The woman who had just paid suddenly said, Wait a minute, you 3. One of the slender soul saints blocked the path of the 3 of them. Lin Yu took out his 1.6-meter sword. He gave his right soul bone 1,000,000 years. His current soul bone weapon is no less than an artifact. Yin Zuyan frowned. Lulu, are you sure you got it right? The woman shook her head. Your Highness, I can't make a mistake. Lin Yu pointed his sword directly at the slender soul saint in front of him. If you don't get out of the way within 3 breaths, I will let you know that the soul saint is an ant in front of me. At this time the woman ran over. wait a minute, we don't mean any harm, let me see that girl's face. Lin Yu looked at the woman pointing at Chen Wenwen, ignored the woman, and continued to count down, 3, 2, 1. Lin Yu waved his hand and brought Chen Wenwen and Chen Jing into the life space. Then the Miao Dao in his hand directly turned into a cone-shaped triangular thorn, and he used the electro-poisonous dragon diamond against the slender soul saint in front of him. Facing Lin Yu's sudden attack, the thin soul saint on the opposite side directly raised 9 soul rings and a soul shield appeared. However, in the face of Lin Yu's attack, his soul shield shattered like a bubble. Just when his life was hanging by a thread, the fat soul saint appeared in front of the thin soul saint, all 9 soul rings lit up, a turtle's shadow appeared behind him, and a golden turtle shell shield blocked Lin Yu's attack, but of no use to the bird, the tortoise's shell soon became covered with cracks. Click. The tortoise shell shield was shattered like glass. The absolute defense that Fat Soul Saint was proud of was simply vulnerable to the attack from the opposite side. He showed a look of despair. Just before the Mitsubishi thorn appeared on his chest, he felt that the world was slowing down. After landing, Lin Yu knew that a super master was coming. Lin Yu immediately stopped attacking. What he was curious about was, what kind of master could be so powerful? At this moment, 4 figures appeared around, one of whom was Miss Jones. At this time, a middle-aged man with a majestic face spoke, "That's all for today. Prince Yin, this is the Magic City, not your emperor. City. The use of force is prohibited in all cities in the Federation. And can this saint give me some face?" Lin Yu had no good impressions of this middle-aged man. Although he seemed to be saying very fair things, he actually ignored that it was Yin Zuyan who was the first to cause trouble. Lin Yu directly taunted the man, "Give you face. Who are you? Come here. If you don't care about everything, you're going to go astray, right? I'm going to kill a few of them today, so what can you do to me?" After Lin Yu finished speaking, a golden soul ring rose up from his body. At this time, several people around him felt a strong force of oppression. They all took a step back unconsciously. At this time, the woman came up again and saluted Lin Yu, "Your Majesty, I'm really sorry. What happened today happened because of me. I misjudged the girl next to the Venerable and thought she was an old friend of ours, so I can't wait to confirm that the little girl is willing to die to apologize." The woman took out the dagger and wanted to kill herself, but found that she couldn't even move now. "What, do you still want to give me the title of a woman who drives a woman to death? It's Yin Zuyan who wants to commit suicide to apologize." When the woman heard this, she was horrified. She was being smart and made the other party unhappy. Yin Zuyan was also a ruthless person. He picked up the dagger and stabbed it directly in his chest, causing blood to spatter immediately. Lin Yu knew that this dagger would not kill Yin Zuyan, so he immediately ignored everyone and turned around to leave. Seeing Lin Yu disappearing away, the fat and thin soul saints immediately went to see Yin Zuyan, and the woman also used healing skills on Yin Zuyan. The middle-aged man who just spoke frowned and continued, "Prince Yin, you should go back to the capital. HMPH. Let's go." Yin Zuyan snorted coldly and led a group of people towards the teleportation array in the center of the city. The remaining people looked at each other and left. After Lin Yu returned to the hotel, he took Chen Jing and Chen Wenwen out of the life space. "Brother, it's so boring in there, it's so dark." Lin Yu spread his hands and said, "Then what do you want your brother to do?" "I want to fight with them, but what if they take it away from you?" "That's right, I'm going to take a shower first." The 3 of them went back to the room to wash up. When Lin Yu came out from the shower, Chen Jing was lying on the bed in pajamas. Lin Yu closed the door and went directly to Chen Jing to lie down. After all, the hotel had air conditioning, so it was definitely not hot at night. "Xiao Yu, when will we go back tomorrow? I saw there was a train back at 1 p.m. tomorrow, so I bought a ticket for the return trip at 1 p.m. tomorrow." "Oh, did you get into a fight outside tonight?" The fight started, but it was stopped by a few people. It should be officials from the Magic City. The 2 chatted for a few words, and then Lin Yu put Chen Jing in his arms and fell asleep in each other's arms. There was nothing to say all night. At 9 o'clock the next morning, the 3 of them checked out and went downstairs to eat the local specialty fried buns. Lin Yu tried the fried buns and they tasted really good. "Xiao Yu, let's go home and do this by ourselves, it seems okay." Yeah, just replace the dead dough we usually use to make pies with yeast dough. After eating breakfast, Lin Yu packed some steamed buns and brought them back to Tang Yanren and Dao Zi to try. Then the three of them continued to stroll around the streets. Now that they had money, they could buy as much as they wanted. As long as they thought they were useful, they bought a lot of things. At noon, the three of them went to a restaurant near the underground station to have lunch, and then got on the train back to Jinling. Chen Jing felt the contents of her storage ring, and then looked at Lin Yu aside. Xiao Yu, I think many of the things we bought in the morning are useless. It doesn't count. Maybe it will be used someday. There is no harm in preparing more daily necessities. Okay, in the next 10 years, we won't have to worry about daily necessities. At about 3:30 in the afternoon, after the three of them returned to their home in Jinling City, Chen Wenwen went back to the room. Lin Yu went back to the rocking chair in his room and lay down. He originally planned to go find Taozi in the afternoon, but he really didn't want to move. He felt a little tired from shopping and so on. Chen Jing came out of the bathroom and walked into the room. Lin Yu poured out a pile of money from the space. Auntie, take the money. It's too much. Why do I need so much money? Just in case. What if I happen to be not around when you need money urgently? Chen Jing was right when she thought about it. Even if she collected the money, it would be conservatively worth several billion. If nothing else, these federal coins are enough for them to live for many years, and they may even never have to worry about money again in their lives. Chen Jing went to cook. Chen Wenwen came over, and Lin Yu poured a bunch of money for her. Chen Wenwen was a little confused. Brother, why do you give me so much money? Wenwen, you're not young anymore. Just keep the money my brother gives you. No matter where you go in the future, don't worry if you have money. Chen Wenwen smiled directly. Hee. Thank you, brother. On Monday, after Lin Yu sent Chen Wenwen to school, he took Lin Xiaotao with him on the roadside. Lin Yu, is the Magic City fun? That's it. But the Magic City is indeed much bigger than our Jinling. After the exam, if we have nothing to do, can we go and have fun together? When she heard that Lin Yu asked her to go to the Magic City together after the exam, Lin Xiaotao said happily, okay. Okay. After arriving in the school classroom, Yang Dabao came over and stretched out his right hand to him. The greedy beast that originally looked like a wild boar now has many more metal parts on its body, making it look much better than before. How much soul power does Fatty have? Yang Dabao said with excitement. First level peak. Lin Yu then looked at Xu Dewei. Xu Dewei's glove spirit had also undergone some changes. The metal feeling was much stronger than before. Xu Dewei's spirit power was also at the peak of the first level. What else did the two of them want to say? Tang Yanren walked in, and they both returned to their seats. Tang Yanren didn't say anything today. She just said that there will be an exam next week and everyone should adjust their mentality. Then she answered some students' practice questions. After class, Lin Yu followed Tang Yanren back to her office. Lin Yu poured out a bunch of federal coins. Tang Yanren asked curiously, did you sell your soul bones in Shanghai? I can't hide anything from you. I sold a rat leg and almost killed it to Prince Yin Zuyan of Daxia. Lin Yu told Tang Yanren everything that happened in the Magic City, including his battle with the two soul saints, fat and thin. It was also the first time that he met someone who could slow down time. Tang Yanren thought for a while and said, when you feel that your speed suddenly slows down during the battle, it's not that the people coming are very strong, but a formation in the city. Each city has its own defensive formation. Among them, there should be someone who is the guardian of the city. They can activate the formation inside the city and prevent the soul masters from fighting in the city. Quote, City Guardian, I've never heard of that. As for the City Guardian, I heard what my teacher said before. This is a group of very mysterious people. They generally don't let people know their identities easily, and they will not easily leave the city they protect. They will only treat foreign enemies as enemies. When they invade a city, they will activate the city's formation. This formation is almost the last barrier of a city, and it is completely different from the technological defense shield above our heads now. Okay, the water in this world is really deep. The two chatted for a while. Tang Yanren received a call and went to a meeting. Lin Yu went to wash the clothes Tang Yanren had changed out of the past 3 days. Not long after, Tang Yanren came back. On Thursday, people from Holy See College, Capital College and Magic City College will come to our Jinling City to recruit. If I recruit from within, I won't have to take the college entrance examination. Of course, the Holy See Academy represents the strongest academy in the entire federation, and the two academies in Beijing and Shanghai represent the top schools in the Eastern District. Those who can be recruited from within are naturally the proud ones. Lin Yu thought for a while and asked, "Are they coming to our school, or is there a fixed place to hold a job fair?" "We have 8 senior colleges in Jinling City. There are not many students in our school who can participate in internal recruitment. Compared with the high school affiliated to Nanjing Normal University and Zonghua Middle School, Jinling Middle School has fewer students. The job fair will be held in the Jinling Government Auditorium." Okay, it seems that those who studied well at the beginning have higher innate soul power and cultivation qualifications than those who studied poorly. Theoretically yes, but not absolutely. After 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu left school and returned home. He returned to the space and started installing water tanks and digging septic tank pits. "Xiao Yu, how will this water tank be filled with water in the future?" "I'll go to the water plant tomorrow to have a look." The finished water tank Lin Yu purchased was too big, with a capacity of several hundred cubic meters. It would take years and months to fill it up with household tap water. During dinner in the evening, Lin Yu asked about Chen Wenwen's vacation. She started the high school entrance examination in the 3rd year of junior high school, at the beginning of July, and she could also have a vacation after the high school entrance examination. At night, Lin Yu lay in bed and watched Wadi send him a few pictures. These were the houses she had been looking at near Beijing College in the past few days, and asked Lin Yu to decide on one. Lin Yu handed the phone to Chen Jing and asked her to choose one. After all, she must live in the most house. After arriving at university, she would have to go out for experience and so on. It would not be around the city. Once she was far away from the city, she might be in the wild, overnight. "Xiao Yu, what do you think of this 2-story villa with a courtyard?" Lin Yu took a look. There were 4 rooms in total, 3 upstairs and 1 downstairs. Each room had its own bathroom. "Not bad, that's it." Lin Yu immediately told Hua Dai about the result. He was just about to hug Chen Jing to sleep, but Chen Jing got up and went back to the opposite side. When having dinner with Tang Yanren at noon the next day, Lin Yu talked about the problem of the house. "When you arrive in the capital, live with us." Tang Yanren raised her head and glanced at Lin Yu. "Live with your aunt and cousin?" Lin Yu nodded, answering her question. Tang Yanren shook his head directly. "I'm not going. You don't have to worry about where I live. The college will have a house for me to live in by then." Now Tang Yanren's strength has reached level 80. If she really has connections, she can be a teacher in university. "When do you plan to absorb the 8th soul ring?" "Wait a little longer. The massive increase in soul power brought about by these 2 months has not yet been fully consolidated." "Do you have any plans for tomorrow night?" Lin Yu was curious. This was the first time Tang Yanren asked him if he had time. He asked, "I've always been free. What do you have planned?" "Come with me to meet someone tomorrow night. Just come over at 5:30. Okay. After 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu left school and went to the carpenter's shop first. The chicken coop and wooden fence that he customized were ready. The owner of the carpenter shop also thoughtfully made several movable wooden fences with doors. Lin Yu paid quickly, took away the chicken coop and wooden fence, and then went to the water plant. There was indeed a place for watering here, but it was more expensive than residences' water charges. It cost 10,000 yuan to fill the entire water tank. This amount of money was not enough. He said it was drizzling. After leaving the water plant, he went to a place that sold photovoltaic solar energy. After all, the time inside the space was synchronized with the outside. There was also light inside during the day. As for what kind of light, he didn't know. He could only buy some and try it out to see. Can it generate electricity? If it can generate electricity, it will save a lot of trouble. After returning home, the two entered the life space. Lin Yu threw down a photovoltaic panel and went to install a wooden fence with Chen Jing. "Xiao Yu, you have prepared a lot of wooden fences. Where is the remaining fence?" "Let's do this for now. Let's think about it later. We'll go buy some chickens and come back tomorrow." Lin Yu looked at the photovoltaic panels, and it seemed that they could indeed generate electricity. This would be much more convenient in the future, as there would be no need to rely on glow-in-the-dark grass for lighting. The next morning, after Lin Yu sent Chen Wenwen to school, he drove Lin Xiaotao to school at the agreed location. Lin Xiaotao hugged him and leaned on his back and said, "Lin Yu, Teacher Tang came to see us yesterday afternoon. I talked about the issue of internal recruitment in colleges and universities." "Oh, I've heard about this too. What do you think?" "What can I have in mind? I will go wherever you go." "Well, it's settled then. Let's go to Jingcheng College." After the two arrived at the school classroom, Lu Ning came over again. "Lin Yu, when are you going to my house for dinner? My mother said I haven't seen you for a while." When Lin Yu heard what Lu Ning said, her mother Lu Yani flashed in his mind for the first time, and said with a smile, "If Aunt Lu wants me to go, I will definitely go back. If your grandpa wants me to go, I have to think about it." Lu Ning smiled. Hee. Do you think my mother is very beautiful and has a very good figure?" "Really?" Lin Yu openly admitted that Lu Yani was the woman with the best figure he had ever seen in Jinling, and her appearance was also top-notch. Lu Ning continued to smile and said, "Hee. Then when do you have time to go to my house for dinner?" Lin Yu knew that the reason why they wanted to treat her to a meal again was to help Lu Ning absorb the soul bone. After all, with her own cultivation speed, it would not be until the year of the monkey to absorb the 100,000-year soul bone. Lin Yu thought for a while and said, "Let's see. The day after tomorrow, Friday, if there is nothing else, I will go to your house for dinner." "Well, it's settled then." At this time, the teacher came in, and Lu Ning returned to her seat. At the end of the first class, Xu Dawei and Yang Dabao came over. They had also taken jelly grass, so they naturally had internal recruitment quotas. Yang Dabao said directly, "Brother, which school will you go to tomorrow?" "Jingcheng College." "Dabao, don't you plan to stay here?" Yang Dabao thought for a while and said, "I am also hesitating about this matter. Being close to home has the advantage of being close to home, and a good school naturally has the advantages of a good school. I thought about it all night last night, and my family said that it is up to me. Decide." Indeed, because with Yang Dabao's strength, there was no chance of him going to Beijing College before, that's why his family let him study in a local university. Now after taking the grass jelly, both his qualifications and strength have improved, so he has more choices. Yang Dabao said he still wanted to think about it, but Xu Dawei was determined to go to Capital College. Lin Yu then went to find Tang Yanran, came to her office, washed her clothes, and sat across from her. "Who are we going to see tonight?" "Teacher from Jingcheng College. He is also one of my elders." "Oh, that's okay. I'll go back first and I'll be back in the afternoon." After Lin Yu left school, he went to the market to buy live chickens. He bought 100 live chickens at once, including 80 hens and 20 roosters. This should be enough. If there are too many roosters, they will be killed. Just eat meat. I went home for lunch at noon. Lin Yu didn't go there in the afternoon. He and Chen Jing returned to the life space and clipped all the feathers of the chicken wings to prevent them from flying around. "Auntie, I have something to do tonight, so I won't have dinner at home." "Oh, then we won't wait for you for dinner." At about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu rode a small e-mule to the college again. Tang Yanran was not in the office, so he found a place to meditate. Beijing. In a cafe, Zhao Qingdi was sitting with a silver-haired woman, who was Lin Moxu's cousin Su Muyu. Su Muyu said with a smile, "Sister Butterfly, you said you have arrived in the capital, why don't you contact me?" Zhao Qingdi spread her hands. "I don't even have your mobile phone number, how can I contact you?" "If you don't have a mobile phone number, you can go to the college to find me. If I hadn't happened to go home today, I wouldn't have known you had come to the capital. By the way, you bought the house next door to me and planned to settle in the capital." Wadi took a sip of coffee and said slowly, "I am also working for others now. I came to the capital to buy a house for others. The house you saw today was bought by me for others. As for who the homeowner is, you don't know, no?" Su Muyu asked curiously, "Who is it? That house is not cheap, it costs upwards of 5 billion. I really can't think of anyone who can have so much money and trust so much money to you." Zhao Qingdi smiled and said, "I'll give you a hint, rabbit." Su Moyue thought for a while, and the only person she and Wadi knew who was related to rabbits was the Yu Lin she met at the gate of Jinling City, who was her cousin's classmate Lin Yu. Su Moyue asked a little uncertainly, Lin Yu? Zhao Qingdi nodded, and Su Muyu immediately showed an expression of disbelief. I heard from my sister that he was a child from a civilian area, and even sold fruit to my sister. Even if he can raise several billion, butterfly sister, you won't take the initiative to do things for him. Zhao Qingdi said calmly. He saved my life, he brought me back from the dying moment. Su Moyue showed a look of surprise. I used to think that his first soul ring was yellow with purple in it, so I knew he was extraordinary. I didn't expect that he was more powerful than I thought. He bought a house in the capital. Is he planning to go to Capital College? Zhao Qingdi nodded, and then said with a smile, Mu Yu. You are a tower near the water. If you can rely on him, if you don't say anything else, you can still easily reach the 9th level soul saint. Do you want me, a senior, to seduce the new juniors? Lin Yu rode a small electric donkey and drove Tang Yanren to the entrance of Jinling Hotel. After the two got off the car, Tang Yanren made a call, and a middle-aged woman came out after a while. Yanren, here. When Tang Yanren saw the woman appear, she walked up and hugged her directly. The middle-aged woman patted Tang Yanren on the back. Okay. I haven't seen you for 3 years, and I feel relieved to see you look like you now. At this time, Tang Yanren remembered Lin Yu on the side and introduced him truthfully. Lin Yu, this is my teacher, Bai Xiaoman, teacher Bai. Teacher, this is the Lin Yu I told you before. Lin Yu shamelessly shouted. Hello, teacher. Bai Xiaoman was a little confused. Was his most proud student planning to give him a student? Then he looked at Tang Yanren. Tang Yanren knew that her teacher had misunderstood, and then said with a smile, Teacher, ignore him, he is just thick-skinned. When Bai Xiaoman heard what Tang Yanren said, as a person who had experienced it, he understood instantly. He never thought that a student like himself would still eat young grass. Okay, let's go in. The three of them walked into the hotel and came to a small private room. Bai Xiaoman had already ordered the food. The three of them sat down and started eating directly. Lin Yu learned from their conversation that Bai Xiaoman was in charge of recruiting new students from Jingcheng College in Jinling City and several surrounding cities. Bai Xiaoman looked at Lin Yu. Xiaolin, I can't feel your strength. Are you planning to go to our capital college? Lin Yu directly raised 2 yellow soul rings and looked at Bai Xiaoman with a smile. Teacher Bai, is this enough to go to capital college? Bai Xiaoman looked at Lin Yu's 2 soul rings, and then asked, Xiaolin, how old is your first soul ring? Lin Yu replied without thinking, 500 years. Why is a 500-year-old soul ring so similar to the second extreme soul ring? It's yellow with purple in it. Lin Yu had never been aware of this problem. He glanced at the system panel and saw that it was indeed yellow with purple. He glanced at the minus sign in front of the plus sign on the first soul ring and thought about it. 99 years, 900. The first soul ring of the year was no longer yellow with purple in it, and then the third soul ring was reduced to 9,000 years, so there was no longer purple with black in it. No, I didn't see the yellow with purple in the soul ring. Teacher Tang, did you see it? Tang Yanren looked at Lin Yu and asked herself, and rolled her eyes. Just now, she saw yellow with purple. Now there is indeed no purple. She never thought that this guy could give the age of the soul ring in front of herself and the teacher. Reduce it. Tang Yanren also opened her eyes and lied. It is true that there is no more purple in the yellow. Teacher, maybe you saw it wrong just now. Bai Xiaoman was shocked. These days, there are still people who can change the color of their soul rings. Or rather, change the age of their own soul rings. This precious student of mine must have known something before, so he would do it in front of his teachers, telling lies with your eyes open. Okay, it seems like I'm a little dim-sighted now that I'm getting older. With Xiaolin's ability, it's definitely no problem to go to Capital University. In fact, Bai Xiaoman doesn't look very old, and these soul masters don't look old, but she gives people the impression that she still has the charm of a mature woman. Lin Yu smiled directly and said, Thank you very much, Teacher Bai. After dinner, Lin Yu rode a small electric donkey home alone. Tang Yanren was stayed by Bai Xiaoman, and the two came to the hotel room. Bai Xiaoman invited Tang Yanren to sit down, and then poured her a cup of tea. Yanren, what on earth is going on with Lin Yu? Tang Yanran thought for a moment and said, what can happen to Lin Yu? Teacher, what's the convenience? Come on, you are protecting your little man now. Fortunately, I am here this time. If anyone else comes, he will cause a lot of trouble for changing the color of his soul ring. Can you protect him then? Live with him. Tang Yanran smiled. Teacher, don't worry. He doesn't need anyone to protect him. Teacher, let me show you something. After Tang Yanran finished speaking, she showed off her 7th soul ring. Bai Xiaoman looked at Tang Yanran's red 7th soul ring and sighed, okay. He is so generous that he can even give you a 10th level soul ring. It seems that he comes from some hidden family. The next day, Lin Yu drove Lin Xiaotao to school. The school arranged a small bus, which could only seat a dozen people. After Lin Yu got on the bus, other classmates also arrived, only a dozen people in total. Lu Ning waved to him. Lin Yu saw Fatty and Shu Dewei together, so he simply sat next to Lu Ning. Lu Ning came over and asked softly, Lin Yu, are you sure you don't want to go to the Holy See Academy? Lin Yu smiled and said, well, you really want me to go to the Holy See Academy? Yeah. Lu Ning's little head nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Lin Yu touched her little head. After getting along with her for a long time, he also felt that this girl who loved to laugh was quite good. There is a saying that beauty comes from distance. We don't have to stay together every day. You can also make video calls to me. During holidays and the like, if you come back, we can meet again. This way, we can meet again every time. You, Lu Ning, are always the most beautiful girl I know. Lu Ning said angrily, I hate it. Can't you say something nice to coax me? Okay, then every time you go back to Oris Hill or to the east of the Federation, tell me and I can come find you. That's pretty much it. After everyone arrived, the car started to set off. After the car set off, Lu Ning directly held Lin Yu's hand, and then leaned on his arm. Tang Yanran was not in the car at this time. As she said last night, she and Bai Xiao today man went there together. Half an hour later, the vehicle drove into the Jinling City government compound, and students from other colleges also arrived. As soon as Lin Yu and the others got off the bus, Tang Yanran came over, and then everyone arrived at the government auditorium. There were more people in the auditorium than Lin Yu imagined. There were more than 100 students. There were more than 3 schools recruiting students, there had to be more than a dozen. There were even famous schools in the West District. Each school had a card. A table where some students gathered around to communicate with the admissions teacher. Didn't the good guy say there are only 3 schools? How come there are more than a dozen schools? Tang Yanran said calmly, these schools will offer superior conditions to attract highly talented students. Lin Yu looked around and found no admissions office of the Holy See College, so he asked curiously, where is the admissions office of the Holy See College? The admissions office of the Holy See Academy is not in the auditorium. They have a special threshold, which is to have full innate soul power or be at level 2 or above. At this moment, the dean of students came out of an office, then walked over and said, Lin Yu, Lin Moxu, Lu Ning, Lin Xiaotao, the 4 of you, follow me. Lin Yu was a little confused, but he still walked over with the dean. The 4 of them came to a small hall, where there were 7 or 8 students. A teacher held a stack of information and asked people to test their soul power one by one in the morning. Lin Moxu. When Lin Moxu heard the call to her, she went up to test her martial soul and soul power. Martial Spirit, Ice Phoenix, Soul Power 38. The test teacher shouted out the results, and everyone around him looked envious. Then he asked Lin Moxu to reveal her soul rings, and Lin Moxu revealed 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 red. The teacher sitting on the desk nodded, and then asked with a smile, Lin Moxu, are you willing to go to our Holy See Academy in Wuhun City? Lin Moxu said directly without thinking, I do. The assistant next to the admissions teacher directly printed out an admission notice, then stamped it with the official seal. The admissions teacher took the admission notice and handed it to Lin Moxu. Classmate Lin Moxu, this is your admission notice. If you arrive at the college before September 1st, there will be someone to receive you. Lin Moxu took the notice from the Holy See College, nodded and stepped aside. The admissions teacher took the information and continued to shout, Lin Yu. Lin Yu walked up to test the martial spirit and soul power. The operator quickly shouted, Martial Spirit, Scepter of Life, Soul Power, 32. Classmate Lin Yu, release your soul ring. Lin Yu also released 3 soul rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. The admissions teacher immediately asked, Classmate Lin Yu, how did you reach the 3rd level so quickly? Lin Yu replied directly, I absorbed the soul bone. The admissions teacher continued to ask, how many soul bones have you absorbed, and for what age? Lin Yu then said expressionlessly, I have no comment on this question. Lin Yu's attitude shocked the students present. Does such a brave person still want to go to the Holy See College? Regarding Lin Yu's attitude, the admissions teacher was not angry, and then asked with a smile, Classmate Lin Yu, are you willing to go to Wuhun City Holy See Academy? Sorry, Wuhun City is too far, Lin Yu said and stepped aside. The admissions teacher nodded. That's a pity. Lin Xiaotao will be next. Lin Xiaotao went up to test the soul power of the martial soul, and the testing teacher shouted, Martial soul, coiling dragon spear, soul power, 30. Lin Xiaotao revealed her 2 yellow soul rings, and the admissions teacher also asked, Classmate Lin Xiaotao, your innate soul power is only level 9, how did you reach level 30 so quickly? Teacher, I also used soul bones. As for what soul bones I have, I can't comment. And I also think Wuhun City is too far away. Lin Xiaotao asked the admissions teacher everything she wanted to ask in one breath, which made the admissions teacher a little embarrassed. You have so many soul bones in Jinling City, okay. I got Lu Ning. Lu Ning went up to test the spirit power of the martial spirit, and the inspector then shouted, Martial spirit, 2-tailed Nekomata, soul power, 26. The admissions teacher took out the admission brochure and took a serious look at it, then looked at Lu Ning. Student Lu Ning, according to your information, your martial soul when you awakened was a ghost black cat, and your innate soul power was only level 7. How did your martial soul evolve? Now, your soul power has reached level 26. You can't use soul bones too. Soul bones have no effect in evolving martial souls. Lu Ning said seriously. Teacher, I didn't use soul bones, I took a piece of fairy grass. Lu Ning's words made everyone present start talking again. After all, fairy grass is rarer than soul bones and only exists in legends. The admissions teacher also became interested, and then continued, I see, can Lu Ning tell me what kind of grass jelly I should take? Lu Ning looked at Lin Yu subconsciously. Lin Yu nodded inadvertently. Lu Ning then said, a 30,000-year-old ghost mushroom. Tisk tisk, what a lucky girl. Classmate Lu Ning, are you willing to go to the Holy See Academy in Wuhun City? I do. Lu Ning also received the admission notice from the Holy See College. Seeing that there was nothing going on here, Lin Yu asked Lin Xiaotao to leave the small hall and come outside. The two came to Jingcheng College. Bai Xiaoman was in charge of admissions. Tang Yanren was also sitting beside him. Xu Dawei and Yang Dabao were both here. Yang Dabao came over. Brother, I also decided to go to Jingcheng College. Lin Yu nodded. Yes. Just make your decision. Then Lin Yu and Lin Xiaotao went up to register. Bai Xiaoman asked a few symbolic questions and then issued them a notice from Jingcheng College. Lin Yu asked shamelessly, Teacher Bai, you see, we rejected the Vatican Academy in Wuhun City and went to your capital academy. Do you have any preferential policies at the academy? Bai Xiaoman asked curiously. Classmate Lin Yu, what preferential policies do you want? Lin Yu thought for a while and said, I have a younger sister who will be a freshman in high school in the second half of the year. I want her to transfer to the middle school affiliated to Jingcheng College. This shouldn't be a big problem. Bai Xiaoman nodded. This is not a big problem. Just ask your sister to bring her junior high school graduation certificate and files to the capital. Then I will say hello to the affiliated high school. I also want a Beijing car license plate. Bai Xiaoman shook his head. This can't be done. The car license belongs to the Federal Transportation Management Department and is not in the same system as our college. If you want to drive in the capital, just have money. If you pay a one-time fee of 1 billion, you can get a capital license. With a local car license, you can drive freely in the urban area of Beijing City. If you pay a one-time fee of 10 billion, you can obtain a federal exclusive license plate and can drive freely in any city in the Federation. 10 billion, how stupid a person would do such a thing. 10 billion is enough to keep a family in peace for several generations, but Lin Yu still plans to go back to the Transportation Management Department to have a look. By 10:30 in the morning, the internal church meeting was over. The classmates from No. 1 middle school returned to the minibus. Lu Ning was still sitting with Lin Yu. Lu Ning, how many people have been recruited to the Holy See Academy? 3 people, Lin Moxu and I, and a boy from Jinling Middle School. The boy is not yet at the second level, but he is innately full of soul power. The other second-level students are either unwilling to go to the Holy See Academy or the Holy See Academy don't want them. This is normal. Most people have probably had contact with teachers from other colleges before, or they have their own favorite college. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he glanced at Wang Chao opposite him. Wang Chao, where will you go in the second half of the year? Wang Chao took out the admission notice in his hand and said, I will go to Magic City College in the second half of the year. Lin Yu knew that with Wang Chao's martial arts qualifications and combat awareness, it should be more than enough to go to the Capital Academy. He might get better training by going to the Magic City Academy. After returning to the college, these students who have received the admission notice can go home and just come to the school to get their diplomas in a few days. Tang Yanren did not go back to school with them. Lin Yu drove Lin Xiaotao back. Lin Yu, I don't have anything to do in the afternoon. Come to my house for lunch. That's okay too. The two came to the downstairs of Lin Xiaotao's house. After the two went upstairs, Yi Susan opened the door for them. Lin Yu is here. Sit down. I'll cook. Farewell, Aunt Yi, I brought some food. Lin Yu took out some cooked food from the space. Yi Susan brought bowls and chopsticks, and the three of them sat down to eat. Yi Susan looked at Lin Yu who was eating opposite and asked curiously, Lin Yu, have you all received the notice from Jingcheng College? Indeed. Once we get our diplomas and files, we can report to Capital College. Bai Xiaoman did say that they could report to Capital College in advance. After lunch, Lin Yu lay on Lin Xiaotao's bed and looked at Lin Xiaotao beside him. Taozi, did you pass the second test of the inheritance of the God of War? Lin Xiaotao nodded. Already, let me absorb a third soul ring that is no less than 4,000 years old. After Lin Xiaotao finished speaking, she leaned over, got into Lin Yu's arms, put her hands around his waist and began to take a nap. Lin Yu felt a little hot, so he had to put on the head soul bone of the Ice Skeleton King again to cool down the room. After staying at Lin Xiaotao's house until 4 o'clock, Lin Yu returned home and talked to Chen Jing about the fact that he had been admitted to Jingcheng College and about Chen Wenwen going to the high school affiliated to Jingcheng College in the second half of the year. After Chen Wenwen returned home, the three of them started to have dinner. After dinner, Lin Yu rarely accompanied the two of them for a walk. The next morning, after Lin Yu sent Chen Wenwen to middle school, he rode a small electric donkey to the vehicle management office in Jinling City. When they arrived at the vehicle management office, they had just gone to work. Lin Yu walked up and asked, I want to apply for a federal general vehicle license plate. The clerk looked at Lin Yu in front of him and did not look down upon him. He immediately said, the federal general license is not cheap, and a certain amount of money needs to be paid for federal city construction. Lin Yu continued to ask, where can I pay? How much? How to get a motorcycle license? The clerk patiently explained to him, and then Lin Yu rode to the Urban Construction Bureau, where he paid 1.2 billion in federal urban construction funds. These funds will appear in the federal urban construction account as soon as possible, and on his mobile phone you can check it directly, and every account here can be fair and open. The Urban Construction Bureau issued him a donation certificate of 10 billion and 2 billion respectively. After Lin Yu left the Urban Construction Bureau, he called Wadi. The phone was quickly connected, and Zhao Qingdi's voice came from inside. Hey. Handsome Lin, why are you calling me when you have time? Do you want to check on my work progress? I asked you if you were short of money recently. If you are short of money, I will send you some money. No need for the time being. I have good food and shelter every day, and I have money to spend, so you don't need to worry about me in Jinling. After chatting with Zhao Qingdi for a few words, Lin Yu hung up the phone and went back to the vehicle management office to issue a donation certificate. After they confirmed that it was correct, they made 2 sets of license plates for Lin Yu. The front of the license plate started with F, followed by 5 Arabic numerals, F is the abbreviation of Federation in English, and Lian represents the abbreviation of Federation in Chinese characters for the Eastern District. After getting the license plate, Lin Yu returned home, took out his motorcycle, and installed the motorcycle license plate on the motorcycle. Xiao Yu, you even got a license plate for your motorcycle. This federal license plate shouldn't be cheap. Well, it's really not cheap, otherwise we wouldn't see many private cars on the road. But with a license plate, you can ride within the city. After lunch, the two went to take a nap. At about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu drove Chen Jing out on a motorcycle. This thing was countless times more powerful than a small electric donkey. The motorcycle parked in front of a 4S store that sells cars, and a shopping guide came to receive it. Welcome to the Mercedes 4S store, how can I help you? Lin Yu said directly, we want an SUV. Okay sir, come with me. The shopping guide took them in to look at cars. Lin Yu took a fancy to a white SUV and asked Chen Jing. Chen Jing also thought it was very good, and then the two decided to buy the car. After the shopping guide boasted about the car, she took out the price list and saw that it was still 2 yuan short of 10 million. Compared with other prices, this car was already a reasonable price. Lin Yu directly took out the license plate and asked them to install it, and then bought several large barrels of gasoline. An hour later, Lin Yu drove the car and drove Chen Jing back. Auntie, I won't be at home for dinner tonight. Last time I made an appointment with my classmate who sold medicinal materials to go to her house for dinner. Chen Jing smiled and said, I think that female classmate is looking at you, Xiao Yu. She always invites you to her house for dinner. Lin Yu also smiled and said, there are many people who like me. But she will go to the Holy See Academy in the second half of the year. After the two returned home, Lin Yu took a shower, put on clean clothes, and rode his motorcycle to the rich area. The security guard in the rich area saw the license plate on Lin Yu's motorcycle and took the initiative to let him go. Lin Yu drove the car directly, stopped in the yard of Lu Ning's house. When Lu Ning heard the sound of the motorcycle, he walked out of the house, took his arm and walked in. Lu Yani, who was sitting on the sofa in the living room, saw Lin Yu coming in and greeted her with a smile. Lin Yu is here. Sit down quickly. Lin Yu also smiled, well, I haven't seen you for a while, and Aunt Lu is even younger and more beautiful. Lu Yani laughed so hard that her branches trembled. Lin Yu, I found that I love listening to you talk the most. Lu Ning, who was on the side, put his hand directly on the soft flesh of Lin Yu's waist. This lovable carrot just had no good intentions. Lin Yu felt Lu Ning's movements, and without leaving a trace, he broke away from Lu Ning's right hand, came to sit next to Lu Yani, and then took out some fruits he had grown. Lin Yu, you are so polite. You bring us things every time you come. They are all fruits grown by myself. Aunt Lu doesn't mind it. I will bring them to you often. Hey, how could I dislike it? It's too late to be curious about it. Lu Yani picked up the kettle on the coffee table and poured Lin Yu a cup of water and tea while doing some household chores. Seeing the two of them talking and laughing, Lu Ning felt that he was redundant and went directly upstairs. When Lu Yani saw her going upstairs, she looked at Lin Yu who was aside. Lin Yu, why don't you go to the Holy See Academy in Wuhun City with Ning Ning? Aunt Lu, in fact, it's the same for me when I go to any college. The Holy See College is too far for me, so I want to be closer. Lu Ning and I also said that the short distance also has the advantage of being close. It's quite convenient to come back. That's true. Next time you return to Jinling City, you must come and see me. That's a must. After a while, Mr. Lu came back and invited Lin Yu to sit in his study. Lin Yu came to his study, and Mr. Lu invited him to sit down. Grandpa Lu, please don't lie. It's definitely not good for you to call me here. I found that as a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, you are just like Western medicine, you can't help but get up early. Mr. Lu said seriously. Nonsense, I just asked Ninger to invite you to my house for a party, so that we can all have fun together. Lin Yu was delighted. Grandpa Lu, are you sure you didn't ask me to help Lu Ning absorb that right arm bone? Mr. Lu found that all his little thoughts had been guessed by the boy in front of him, and he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. He then said with a smile, eating is the main thing, and soul bones are also a problem. After all, Ning Ning can't absorb this stuff by herself. Do you know how many years it will take? Oh, I'm just telling you. Grandpa Lu, you're definitely not doing anything good for me. By the way, have you prepared a third soul ring for Lu Ning? Mr. Lu shook his head. I'm not ready yet, mainly because I haven't found a suitable soul ring. If I use a soul ring, that's too bad, it will affect the child's life. Really? At this moment, Lu Ning came over and called them to come over for dinner. Lin Yu didn't see Lu Xiaokong tonight, so he politely asked, Aunt Lu, where is Uncle Lu? Lu Yani smiled and said, Xiaokong is on duty at the unit tonight and won't be back. Lin Yu, let's eat. After dinner, the four of them chatted for a while. Mr. Lu said that he was old and needed to rest early, so he took the initiative to leave and go back to his room. Lin Yu knew that Mr. Lu was avoiding the problem and blaming himself. Lu Ning said at this time, Lin Yu, go to my room and take a look. Lin Yu nodded. That's fine. Lin Yu and Lu Ning went upstairs to her room. The room was all pink. Lin Yu sat on a stool, and Lu Ning sat directly on his lap and hooked his neck. Okay Lu Ning, let's get down to business. Do you want to absorb that soul bone? Lu Ning nodded. Yeah. I really want to. Lin Yu thought for a while and said, there are two options. The first one is that there is too much soul power contained in the 100,000-year-old soul bone. You definitely cannot absorb it all. The huge soul power may cause you to explode and die, so I can only absorb all the excess soul power to keep you at around level 30, but this is a pity for this pure soul power. Lu Ning quickly said, what about the second method? The second method is to refine the third soul ring immediately after you absorb the soul bone. After you reach the third level, your soul power will also have a new outlet. Lin Xiaotao uses this method. I also asked you just now, Grandpa. Your grandpa said he didn't prepare a third soul ring for you. Lu Ning showed a bitter look on his face. What should I do? That soul power is probably enough for me to practice for half a year or even a year. Lin Yu looked at Lu Ning in front of him and thought for a while and said, I do have two 5,000-year soul rings, but they are both of elemental attributes, one of fire and one of ice. If you don't mind, I can give them to you. If you don't want to use it, then just wait. Wait until you come back during the Chinese New Year in the second half of the year. Hearing Lin Yu say this, Lu Ning held Lin Yu's head and shook it, then said with a smile, I want the flame one. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Lu Yani didn't wait for them to go downstairs. She came to the door of Lu Ning's room upstairs, opened the door gently and took a look, and saw her daughter sitting cross-legged on the bed, holding a soul bone in her hand, and in front of her a purple soul ring. Lin Yu sat behind Lu Ning with his hands on her back. Lu Yani saw Lin Yu sweating profusely, so she took a tissue and lightly dipped it in his sweat, then came to a stool nearby and looked at the two of them curiously. At 10 o'clock, the soul bone in Lu Ning's hand turned into light and penetrated into his right hand. Lin Yu's body was soaked again. Lu Ning, take advantage of the moment to refine the soul ring. Lin Yu then got off the bed and looked at Lu Yani, who got up and took him to a guest room. Lin Yu, you take a shower first, I'll go see Ning Ning. Lin Yu went straight into the bathroom and started taking a shower. After the shower, he put on his pajamas and fell directly onto the bed to sleep. He was too tired tonight. Lu Ning had only practiced ordinary exercises before. Lin Yu first asked her to learn the holy art of heaven and earth. Only then could he help her refine the soul bone, so this time it took longer than the previous times. At almost 11 o'clock, a purple soul ring rose from Lu Ning's body. She successfully rose to the third level. She got out of bed and felt her strength, and then blue flames ignited on her palms. Lu Ning put away the flame and looked at Lu Yani, who was standing aside. Mom, where is Lin Yu? Lu Yani yawned and said, Lin Yu should have gone to bed long ago. You don't even know what time it is. Take a shower and go to bed early. I'm going to bed too. After saying that, Lu Yani left Lu Ning's room and went back to her own room. After taking a shower, Lu Yani thought for a moment and went to the guest room to take a look. Although the lights in the guest room were not turned on, she still knew everything about the situation inside. After all, the martial spirit is a ghost black cat, and Lu Ning inherited her martial spirit. At this time, Lin Yu was lying on the bed, with the quilt falling aside. The air conditioner was on in the room. Lu Yani walked over, picked up the thin quilt and prepared to cover him. Lu Yani also lamented that Lin Yu's capital was not small. Then she covered him with a quilt. In his sleep, Lin Yu felt someone approaching him. He subconsciously sat up and hugged the person in his arms, and then fell on the bed and continued to sleep. Lu Yani felt embarrassed now. With her strength, she could not escape from Lin Yu's arms. After a while, a long black cat tail grew from behind her. The cat tail gently closed the door of the room and locked it behind her. Superior. Lin Yu slept very soundly this time and had a sweet dream. He dreamed that he went to the heavenly palace in the world of Journey to the West and went to the peach garden with Sun Wukong. The monkey gave him 2 huge flat peaches, and he couldn't put them down. Then he still wanted to try the taste of Tiangong flat peaches. He tasted it lightly and felt that the flat peaches had no taste. He thought it would taste salty after taking another bite. Hum. A muffled hum sounded in Lin Yu's ears. This sound made Lin Yu startled. Lin Yu opened his eyes and realized what he was eating in his dream. He raised his head and saw Lu Yani looking across from her. The two looked at each other. Good guy, you are so reckless. What should you do now? Fight. Lin Yu braked in time at the critical moment. Wait a minute, this won't work. Lu Yani was a little disappointed and said, what? This is the first time, who else do you want to leave it to? Maintaining your yang body is helpful for your cultivation. Of course, I can't let you continue to get angry. Dong dong dong, Mom, are you in there? There was a rapid knock on the door. Lin Yu looked at Lu Yani opposite, then gave her some life space, and then the two quickly got dressed. Stop wearing pajamas. I'll get you a new set of clothes. I can send them to you 100 meters away. Can you find a reason to go home? Can. Lin Yu took out a new set of clothes. Fortunately, it was sportswear, and Lu Yani looked good in it. Then Lin Yu took out a comb, asked Lu Yani to sit down, and quickly combed her hair. Thanks to his experience in raising children in his previous life, he gave her I still know how to comb my hair and put it up. Lu Ning knocked on the door for a while and was about to leave. At this time, Lin Yu opened the door and let her in. Lu Ning looked around the room, then looked at Lin Yu. Lin Yu, you've been knocking on the door for a long time, why don't you open the door? Lin Yu said angrily. I'm sitting on the toilet, how do you ask me to open the door for you? Lu Ning was right when he thought about it. If he had been sitting on the toilet, he wouldn't have come out so quickly. Okay, I thought my mom was in your room. Have you seen my mom? How do I know? Lin Yu immediately went to the bathroom and started washing up. Lu Ning had no choice but to go downstairs and into the yard, where he happened to see Lu Yani walking back from outside. Lu Ning greeted him directly. Mom, where did you go this morning? Lu Yani said with a smile. When I think about you going to college and leaving your mother, my mother couldn't sleep in the morning and walked around the community in the morning. Lu Ning waved his hand. No, I'm just going to college, it's not like I won't come back. Chapter 71. Lu Yani returned to her room and took a good bath. She looked at herself in the mirror and the way the little man combed her hair. She did seem younger. After washing up, Lin Yu went downstairs, came to the yard, and waved to Lu Ning. Lu Ning, let me see your third soul skill. Lu Ning smiled and said, then you should keep an eye on it. After Lu Ning finished speaking, a purple soul ring rose from her body, and blue flames appeared in her hands. Then she appeared behind Lin Yu and grabbed Lin Yu with a claw. Lin Yu blocked the blow with his fist. Bang! Lu Ning missed a hit and then dodged away, but the blue flame in Lin Yu's hand did not go out. Lin Yu extinguished the blue flame with a stroke of his hand. This flame was more powerful than Lin Yu imagined. It seemed the two-tailed Nekomata should have the power of fire. Lin Yu was looking at Lu Ning. She seemed to have disappeared. Lin Yu knew that she had used her soul bone ability to escape into the void. Then he felt it, but he really couldn't feel it. At this time, a sharp claw appeared in front of Lin Yu and grabbed directly towards his chest. Lin Yu took 2 steps back and avoided the blow. Lu Ning appeared from the void. Lu Ning, you just struck a fatal claw, why did you pause? Lu Ning smiled and said, aren't I afraid of hurting you? Lin Yu shook his head. This attack can't hurt me. You are positioned as an assassin in the shadows. Since you choose to take action, you must give your opponent a fatal blow without hesitation. If you hesitate, you will lose. Pa bang bang. There was a burst of applause, and Lin Yu looked over. It turned out that Lu Xiaokong, who was working the night shift, was back, and there was Mr. Lu beside him. Lin Yu smiled and said, "Hello, Uncle Lu." Lu Xiaokong also smiled and said, "Okay, okay. Lin Yu, my Ningning asked you to worry about it. Uncle Lu is serious." At this time Lu Yani walked out of the room. "Okay, Xiaokong is back, let's have breakfast." Soon after, Lin Yu and his family were sitting together having breakfast. Lu Xiaokong looked at Lin Yu and asked with a smile, "Lin Yu, I saw that someone named Lin Yu donated 120 yuan to our Jinling Urban Construction Bureau yesterday. Yi, that Lin Yu should be you." I made Uncle Lu laugh. "I wanted to buy a car with a license plate. I heard that you can go to the Urban Development Bureau to donate city construction funds, so I went to donate yesterday." Lu Ning on the side yelled directly, "Lin Yu, spend 1.2 billion just to be able to drive in the city. You must have something wrong with your brain." Lin Yu also felt that there was something wrong in his mind, and then comforted himself and said, "I feel that the e-mule is not very powerful recently, so I went to get 2 licenses." Then I remembered, "Lu Ning, when are you going to Wuhun City?" "About August 20th. Although it is said that school will start on September 1st, the admissions teacher suggested that we can go earlier. Then Lin Moxu and I can go there together. What about you? When will we go to the capital?" "July 20th will be the right one. I can't tell you the exact time. It depends on when my sister will get her diploma." After breakfast, Lin Yu added their family's phone numbers. He didn't add them last time, but this time he added them all, which sometimes makes it easier to contact them. At about 9:30, Lin Yu said goodbye to Lu Ning's family and left on a motorcycle. Lu Xiaokong looked at his daughter beside him. "Daughter, what do you think of Lin Yu's strength?" Lu Ning thought for a while and said, "Although my soul power was only level 30 in the test that day, my strength and ability feel unfathomable. I feel like I am going to fight him to the death, and I am simply vulnerable in front of him." Then Lu Ning smiled again. "Dad, Grandpa, do you know what level 1 am now?" Mr. Lu said with a smile, "Ning Ning, your restless soul power is as obvious as a light bulb. Grandpa, judging from your current strength, you must be at the peak of the 3rd level." Lu Ning then pecked at rice like a chicken. "Lin Yu taught me a mental cultivation method last night and gave me a 5,000-year soul ring." Lu Xiaokong looked at Mr. Lu. "Dad, this Lin Yu has been too good to our family Ning Ning, how can we not repay him?" Mr. Lu said with a smile, "Why pay back? There is no need to pay back. It would be best if Ning Ning and him could get together. Even if he and Ning Ning could not get together in the future, as long as they can maintain a good relationship, this classmate friendship is very good for Ning Ning's future. Although I am not very strong, old man, I can still judge people very accurately. This child's moral character is still nothing to say. Forget it. I won't tell you any more. I went to the hospital." Mr. Lu rode his bicycle to the hospital. Lu Xiaokong returned to the 2nd floor to take a shower and then planned to sleep. He looked at Lu Yani sitting next to the dressing table and asked curiously, "Yani, when did you buy this set? Clothes. They look quite young." Lu Yani said angrily, "TCH. When have you ever cared about what I wear? Don't you dislike me for being a yellow-faced woman? Aren't you as young and beautiful as the little girls in your unit? Director Lu should have had a good time last night, right?" Lu Xiaokong felt a little embarrassed, and then said, "If the child is at home, don't talk about this issue. He just occasionally made the same mistakes that men make." But Lu Yani was quite sensible and never had any quarrels with him. At most, the two of them slept in separate beds in private, which did not leave any bad impression on Lu Ning. Lu Yani then thought about it and said, "When Ning Ning goes to the Holy See Academy, I also plan to go out and relax." "That's okay. You might as well go out and relax." When Lin Yu returned home, Chen Wenwen hadn't gotten up yet. Chen Jing sat on her bed and meditated. When she felt Lin Yu coming back, she opened her eyes. "Xiao Yu is back. Have you had breakfast? I ate at my classmate's house this morning." Then the two returned to the life space. Chen Jing practiced driving in the space, and Lin Yu began to install photovoltaic panels in the space. At almost noon, the two of them went out to prepare lunch together. Lin Yu glanced at his phone. Xu Dewei sent him a message, asking him when he would have time to go out to the city for adventure again. He wanted to get some more money for his family. Lin Yu noticed that Xu Dewei seemed to be short of money, so he immediately replied and asked him if he had reached the second level. They would go out again when he and Fatty reached the second level. Xu Dewei immediately replied with an okay. After lunch, Lin Yu hugged Chen Jing and took a nap before continuing to install photovoltaic panels in the afternoon. Xiao Yu, how many photovoltaic panels should be installed? It's almost done, let's wait for the house now. Chen Jing opened the gate and went into the orchard. After a while, she came over with a small basket, smiled at Lin Yu and said, Xiao Yu, look, we don't have to buy eggs anymore. Lin Yu was also happy when he looked at the dozen eggs. The chickens he bought yesterday laid eggs today. These little hens are quite capable. After dinner, Chen Jing was lying on the bed, looking at Lin Yu who was meditating and finishing his practice, and asked, Xiao Yu, are you officially on vacation now? Lin Yu looked at Chen Jing who was leaning on the bedside, and said with a smile, indeed, if there is anywhere you want to go, aunt, I will go with you. I have a lot of time now. How can I get along with you? I don't have anywhere I want to go, but why don't Xiao Yu get together with his classmates before going to the capital? After all, he has gone to university, and there are fewer days to see each other again. Lin Yu nodded. Indeed, some classmates recently made an appointment to go out on adventures together. The next day, Sunday, Lin Yu slept until the sun was shining brightly before getting up. He picked up his phone and took a look. Xu Dewei sent him a message again, saying that both he and Fatty had absorbed the second soul ring. Lin Yu thought for a while and sent a message to Taozi and Lu Ning asking them if they would like to go out of the city together. They both responded quickly and expressed their willingness to go together. Lin Yu immediately sent a message to Xu Dewei and Yang Dabao to meet at the entrance of the Adventurers Association at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Then he sent a message to Lin Xiaotao and Lu Ning, saying that he would pick them up tomorrow morning. After breakfast, Lin Yu said hello to Chen Jing and went out. This time he rode a motorcycle directly to the school to find Tang Yanren. Tang Yanren was not surprised when she saw him. Why did you still remember coming here today? Lin Yu sat across from her and said with a smile, I miss you. What else can I do? People say that one day without seeing you is like 3 autumns. It's only been 3 days, so it's 9 autumns. Tang Yanren directly tapped Lin Yu's forehead with her finger. That mouth of yours is perfect for coaxing little girls like Lin Xiaotao. Okay, let's get down to business. How do you arrange things in the capital? I'll buy you another house. Why do you need so many houses? My teacher called me last night and the school has already taken care of it. When I return to Capital College to continue teaching, the college will allocate me another house on campus, or let me I used to live with the teacher. Hearing this, Lin Yu immediately became anxious. It's okay to share a house, but you and Teacher Bai can't live together. What should I do then? I don't want to find you when there is still Teacher Bai at home. Tang Yanren saw Lin Yu's anxious look and was immediately happy. Let's see. Let's see how the college arranges it then. Lin Yu directly took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Zhao Qingdi, asking her to buy another 1-bedroom apartment and buy her a house of whatever size she wanted. Zhao Qingdi would then send her the money. Said there was no problem. After staying at Tang Yanren's place until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu left school and went to the post office, called Zhao Qingdi again for 2 billion and then returned home. In the evening, Lin Yu and a few people studied where to go tomorrow. After some research, everyone planned to go to Examen Yuhua Mine. Yuhua Mine is located in Yuhua Mountain to the west of Jinling. It used to be a human mining field, but after the monster outbreak, it was occupied by kobolds and cavemen. The kobolds and cavemen dug the original mine deeper. It is said that the bottom of Yuhua Mountain is covered with spider web-like mine tunnels. The next morning, after Lin Yu sent Chen Wenwen to school, he drove to the downstairs of Lin Xiaotao's house. Lin Xiaotao was already waiting here. When she saw Lin Yu appear, she got into the passenger seat. Lin Yu, you really spent so much money to buy a federal license plate. Well, this is much more convenient than the electric donkey. Lin Yu drove the car and continued to set off. Soon he arrived at the gate of the wealthy area. Lu Ning was already waiting at the gate of the community. Lin Xiaotao had already taken the passenger seat. Lu Ning could only sit in the back seat. After Lu Ning got in the car, Lin Yu drove to the Adventurers Association. Along the way, the three of them didn't speak. Lin Yu asked casually, Lu Ning, have you registered as an adventurer? Lu Ning shook his head. Not yet. Except for school experience, I have never been out of the city. The car stopped at the door of the Adventurers Association not long after. After the three people started to get out of the car, Yang Dabao and Xu Dewei came over. Because Lu Ning was not an adventurer yet, he had to register as an adventurer first, otherwise he would not be able to leave the city. Lin Yu led Lu Ning to operate the machine. After Lu Ning hung a barcode badge on his chest, Lin Yu bought 5 teleportation tickets. The 5 people took the teleportation array and appeared at the west gate of Jinling City. Lu Ning looked around, then said with a smile, this is my first time doing this thing. It feels very convenient. Indeed, it's much faster than driving. The 5 people scanned the QR code one by one to leave the city. The QR code scanner also kindly reminded them not to stay too far from the main road. Several people also politely thanked them. After leaving the city, Lin Yu took out the SUV. Yang Dabao and Xu Dewei sat in the back row consciously, leaving Lu Ning and Lin Xiaotao. Lu Ning and Lin Xiaotao looked at each other, smiled slightly and went to sit in the back row, while Lin Xiaotao continued co-pilot. Yang Dabao and Xu Dewei consciously leaned in. Although everyone in their class knew that Lin Xiaotao and Lin Yu were dating, Lu Ning and Lin Yu were also very close, so they still stayed away. Lu Ning wanted to prevent Lin Yu from misunderstanding. After the 5 people sat down, Lin Yu drove the car and started to set off. Yuha Mountain was farther than any other place he had gone to before. It took the car more than an hour to reach the destination, but there seemed to be a lot of people at the entrance of Yuha Mine. Yang Dabao looked at the people here and couldn't help but said, oh my goodness, why are there so many people here? Lin Yu glanced at the people outside and didn't find it strange. The low-level soul rings here are of better quality. Many people come here to get second-level and third-level soul rings. Let's change the entrance. The kobolds and cavemen had almost hollowed out the interior of the mountain range. There could not be only one entrance to such a huge mountain range. Lin Yu turned the steering wheel right and turned into an overgrown path. The small road is not easy to navigate at all. The visibility is not good and the road surface is bumpy. Fortunately, Lin Yu is also an experienced driver and his skills are not too bad. Half an hour later, the road was no longer visible, and the car was getting bumpier and bumpier. Yang Dabao complained, brother, is this still a road? Lin Yu looked ahead, trying to find a good way to go, and then replied to Yang Dabao, no one has been here for a long time. This is normal. As long as the car can drive normally, there will be no problem. At this moment, a fireball of water hit him. Lin Yu turned the steering wheel to avoid the blow, then quickly stopped the car and jumped out of the car. Hulu. The second fireball hit everyone again, and a large shield appeared in Lin Yu's hand to block the blow. The few people who reacted also showed their soul rings and went in the direction of the fireball. Lin Yu put away the car and followed. The 4 of them had already fought with several kobolds, one of which was a kobold mage. At this time, several kobolds were covered with ice, and their movement speed was also much slower. Lin Yu knew that this was Xu Dewei's second soul ring ability. Several kobolds were quickly eliminated by them. Lin Yu took out the soul ring extractor and absorbed a few cups of soul rings. Lin Yu kept the one belonging to the kobold mage and threw away the rest. Lin Yu said with a smile, we have a good start today. The ultimate flame element soul ring of more than 900 years, let's see if there should be a cave entrance nearby. Then a few people walked around nearby and after climbing over a small hillside, they saw the entrance of a cave. There were some kobolds patrolling outside the entrance. These humanoid creatures are more or less intelligent. If they charge directly, they will definitely be surrounded. They can only defeat them one by one. The 4 of them fought in front, while Lin Yu paddled in the back to absorb the soul ring. Half an hour later, the 5 of them cleaned up the kobolds outside the entrance of the cave. They each took a rest, then took out flashlights and headlamps, and walked in together. Cave. When everyone walked into the cave, they heard the clanging sound. This was the kobold miner digging. Lin Yu couldn't figure out what kind of mine there could be here. Is it worth them knocking here? Could it be that the Yuha stone is still not enough? The first few people have already surrendered. Lin Yu quickly followed them. If there were too many kobolds surrounding them, he would take action. After all, they were not training in school. If necessary, he would take action to increase the speed of killing monsters. In fact, an hour later, Lu Ning was in front to survey the direction in which there were more monsters. Lin Yu held two swords and slashed in the direction directed by Lu Ning. They followed behind to absorb the soul rings. At about 11 o'clock at noon, the 5 people found a safe place and started eating. The lunch meal was the giant-toothed rabbit rice bowl set provided by Lin Yu. Lin Yu took a mouthful of rice and looked at Lin Xiaotao aside. "We have killed hundreds of kobolds this morning. Does Taozi have a soul bone?" Lin Xiaotao shook his head, and Yang Dabao on the side said directly, "Brother, if soul bones appeared so easily, soul bones wouldn't be so valuable." Lin Yu thought about it. Soul bones are too rare. After everyone had lunch, they continued to set off. They met lone ones or 2 or 3 and let them practice their skills. Once the number became large, Lin Yu would open the way with his 2 swords, and they would go all the way, chopping melons and vegetables. As a 20,000-year-old kobold warrior fell, all the kobolds in the area were cleared. Lin Yu sat down to rest, and Lu Ning went to the front to inquire about the situation. Ding! A crisp voice remembered that it was indeed so sweet in Anshan Mountain. Lin Xiaotao picked up a right arm bone from the ground and handed it to Lin Yu. "Haha, the protagonist group indeed has a lucky aura." Lin Yu took the right arm bone and took a look. The right arm bone of the kobold warrior, age, 23,000 years, soul skill, heavy punch. Lin Yu first put away the soul bone, and after a while Lu Ning jumped back from the front. "Lin Yu, there are 2 roads ahead. One is covered with spider webs, and there are kobold corpses wrapped in spider webs, and the other is it's a cave, and I saw traces of cavemen's activities." Lin Yu thought for a moment and said, "Well, let's go to the spider cave first, and then go to the caveman." Although official information does not say that there are cave spiders in the Yuha mine, it is very normal for spider-like monsters to appear in the cave. The 5 people continued to set off and came to the fork in the road that Lu Ning mentioned. Lin Yu took the lead into the cave full of spider webs. Along the way were the bones of kobolds and cavemen. Some were wrapped in spider webs and scattered directly on the ground. "Taozi, light the fire." On Lin Xiaotao's spear, a beam of flame spurted out from the tip of the spear, igniting all the surrounding spider silk. The spider silk in the cave was burned out in an instant, making it much easier to walk. Hiss! There was a hissing sound, and a huge spider crawled out from the cave in front. It was bigger than the last death spider. This spider had been preserved for 50,000 years. "Come on, you'd better quit and wait." After Lin Yu finished speaking, the other 4 people ran out quickly. They knew that staying there would only be a burden. The big spider rushed towards Lin Yu, and Lin Yu did a forward somersault. When he passed the big spider, Tang Hengdao stabbed him directly on its head. There is no difficulty in ending the battle. Lin Yu took out his soul ring collector and started collecting soul rings. The soul bone he wanted did not appear, only a black soul ring. The soul ring of the Crypt Spider King, age, 50,000 years, soul skill, binding soul skill. This soul ring contains the immortal soul of the Crypt Spider King in a pair of soul bones attached to its walking legs. Close tortoise shell bracket. Lin Yu was shocked. There was actually an attached soul bone. The spider's legs were its 8 legs, which were the 8 spider spears of a certain double standard dog. Lin Yu put away the soul bone and ran in the direction from which the spider came. He went directly to the bottom of the cave, a huge cave surrounded by the bones of humanoid creatures. Lin Yushan searched for it, but still found nothing, so he come outside and gather with the other 4 people, and go to the caveman's cave. The cavemen didn't have any long-range professions. Lin Yu still walked at the front chopping melons and vegetables, and the 4 of them followed behind to absorb the soul rings. At about 4 o'clock, inside the caveman cave, a huge caveman leader fell, and Lin Yu announced that today's adventure was over. Lu Ning walked over from the front at this time. "Lin Yu, go through a small space in front, and there is a mine train track in front." Lin Yu said directly, "That should be the main mine of Yuha Mine. It would be too troublesome for us to return from the original route, so let's go out through the main mine tunnel. And if we meet other adventurers, let's not ignore them." Quote. Several people walked through the narrow passage and came to the main mine tunnel of Yuha, and then walked out. They only encountered a few sporadic kobolds along the way. Yang Dabao looked around and asked curiously, "We have arrived at the main mine tunnel. After walking for so long, we haven't seen many monsters or the like. No matter how many monsters there are, we can't stop the constant presence of adventurers. If it weren't for the intricate underground environment, we might not have gained anything today." Soon after, they met 5 other adventurers who were walking out. The two sides did not interfere with each other, but they took the initiative to stay a few steps behind and let Lin Yu and the others go first. Whoosh! Everyone quickly arrived at the entrance of the main mine. A sharp arrow glowing with blue light suddenly appeared and shot directly at Lin Yu's face. Lin Yu stretched out his hand to hold the arrow, and a force of ice spread directly to his entire body. Lin Yu used his internal force to directly shatter the ice wrapping his right arm. Pa bang bang! A burly man clapped his hands and walked out, followed by 6 fierce-looking guys. Next to the man was a man with a sinister face. The man was holding a bow and arrow. It seemed that he had shot the arrow just now. "Okay, I didn't expect that even Scorpion's ice arrows could be caught by you with your bare hands. I'm curious about what soul bones you two used to reach the 3rd level." The burly man pointed at Lin Yu and Lin Xiaotao as he spoke. This was obviously because someone at the recruitment venue leaked the news one day, causing trouble for Lin Yu and Lin Xiaotao. Lin Yu then said, "Taozi, please go back to the cave." The 4 of them, Lin Xiaotao, immediately ran back to the cave, and the burly man on the opposite side spoke again. "Little brothers, are you still planning to fight to the death? It would be better if you just lead the neck and kill them, which would save us brothers from playing cat and mouse games with you." Quote. Lin Yu glanced at the storage ring on the leader's hand and was amused, and said with a smile, "I thought today would be a day of nothing, but I didn't expect that you would still give me benefits in the evening. What a good person. I remember the last time at the entrance of the evil cave, a guy named Big Black Bear brought me something even though it was almost dark. It seems that Big Black Bear is also in the 7th level like you." The burly man's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. They all lived in Jinling. The Big Black Bear was slaughtered outside the evil cave for more than a month. He still heard some clones. At this moment, the big boy in front of him suddenly disappeared. He thought something was wrong and ran away. The moment he turned around, a knife was magnified in front of him, and then he saw the soles of his feet. The people around him still wanted to run, but Lin Yu moved quickly, slashing one by one, and came to the archer named Scorpion. He put away the Tang Hangdao and kicked him to the ground. Then he stepped on his limbs and broke them off. He took off the storage ring with his fingers. "Ah!" The man with the bow and arrow howled like a pig. Lin Yu waved to the people in the cave. When the 4 people approached, Lin Yu said directly, "Lu Ning, this guy is left to you." After Lin Yu finished speaking, he ignored Lu Ning, who looked dull, and then started to happily lick the bag, 2 space rings and 5 storage bags. A piece of soul bone fell from the burly man at the head. This guy had explosive equipment. What an unexpected gain. The left arm bone of the King Kong lizard, age, 2000 years, soul skill, King Kong shield. Although he has no intention of being a person, he can't stop others from giving it to him. The old saying is true. People set fire to the golden belt. Lin Yu put away all his things. At this time, Lu Ning, under Lin Xiaotao's persuasion, killed the archer named Scorpion. Lin Yu took a look at the people hiding at the entrance of the cave, and then took out his off-road vehicle to greet a few people. "Get in the car." At around 6 o'clock, the 5 of them scanned the QR code and entered the city. The staff at the door spoke again. "I'm so happy to see you back. You should still look like students who graduated from high school this year. You will go to college in 2 months. This paragraph don't take risks out of the city when you have time. If you study in college for a few years, there will be plenty of adventure opportunities in the future." Lin Yu said with a smile, "Auntie is right. We don't plan to leave the city again before school starts. Auntie has some fruits here. You can take them back and try them." Lin Yu took out a box of fruit and placed it on the scanner's table, and then asked them to buy tickets and send them to the Adventurers Association. Everyone went directly to Boss Jin's Soul Ring trading shop, and Lin Yu poured out today's harvest. Boss Jin picked up a soul ring and took a look at it, then said with a smile, "You are in good luck. There are fewer and fewer monsters in Yuha Mine. I never thought you could still harvest so many soul rings. Lin Yu smiled and said, it's just good luck. Boss Jin can help us do the math. Boss Jin greeted the guys to work, and then he took the receipt and started recording. After all the more than 100 soul rings were counted, Boss Jin spoke again. Of the more than 100 soul rings of yours, only a few were really valuable, and the rest are the value of the offer is not too high. Let me give you a total of 200 million. What do you think? Lin Yu nodded in agreement. After receiving the 200 million in cash, the 5 of them went to the restaurant in the association, asked for a private room, and ordered a table of dishes. While waiting for the food to be served, Lin Yu looked at the 4 people and said, let's talk about today's harvest, 200 million plus a right arm bone of a kobold warrior. The soul skill is to punch hard. To be honest, this soul bone is quite big. Because both Fatty and I can use it, brother, it's 50 million per game, which one of you two wants it? Shu Dewei spoke at this time, give the soul bone to Dabao. He has no output skills now. Lin Yu took a high look at Shu Dewei's decision, and then threw the soul bone to the fat man. The remaining 24 people shared 50 million equally, and everyone collected their own share. Fat man will absorb it when he gets home later. Don't talk about it to anyone. The more people know about it, the more danger it will be. What happened at the entrance of the mine today is the best example. Yang Dabao nodded excitedly. I understand, brother. Well, don't think too much about it, Dewei. You will also have the fat man's things in the future. Shu Dewei smiled and said, well, I believe there will be that day. Although Lin Yu later picked up another soul bone, he would not take out the things that people licked and share them with them. This was a matter of principle. You can give them more when you share things, but it does not mean that you can give them more. Keep them. Soon after, the food was served and the 4 of them started eating. After dinner, Lin Yu drove them home, first Yang Dabao, then Shu Dewei, then Lu Ning, and finally only Lin Xiaotao was left. Taozi, there's nothing much to do these days, why don't we go out and play? Lin Xiaotao said excitedly, okay. Where are we going? Let's go to Magic City. Take Aunt Yi with you. How many days can we go to Magic City? Although Lin Xiaotao felt a little regretful that it was not the 2 of them, she was still very happy. Yes. Okay, when should we go? Lin Yu thought for a moment that he had nothing to do recently. The school would also arrange exams in the past few days. Tang Yanren was busy there, so he said, how about tomorrow? Lin Xiaotao nodded solemnly, yes. Lin Yu sent Lin Xiaotao to the downstairs of her house. After seeing her return home, he returned to his own home. When he returned home, Chen Jing was still lying on his bed, and Lin Yu took out everything he had gained today. Chen Jing looked at the 2 rings and 5 storage bags and knew what was going on. Before she could ask questions, Lin Yu explained to her what happened in the evening. Chen Jing said with emotion, money and silk are so touching. The main soul bones are so valuable. That's why they would do things like block the road and rob. Lin Yu nodded. Since I came out to rob, I have the consciousness of being kidnapped. I have killed them all, and I have no psychological burden. Let's take a look at what's inside. After a short pause, the 2 quickly began to search carefully for these stored items. However, after a lot of trouble, except for a small amount of cash, they did not find any surprising things. After counting, the total amount of money owned by these 7 people is only 2 billion federal dollars. In addition, there are several vehicles and some gasoline and other items. Lin Yu gathered up all the piles of objects, and then turned to the bathroom to take a shower. At this moment, he already carried as many as a dozen storage bags, but due to the limited value of these items, I never thought of selling it for money. After washing up, Lin Yu walked briskly back to the room, sat down next to Chen Jing, and said softly, my classmates and I have made an appointment to go to the Magic City together tomorrow. Chen Jing nodded slightly and agreed, that's fine. Since the exam is over, you should really enjoy this leisure time. After a night of silence, the 2 came to the life space early the next morning. Lin Yu released all things to grow in front of the flowers and plants, while Chen Jing went to pick up eggs. There were more eggs today than the day before yesterday, so the 3 of them ate directly in the morning. Candy egg. After breakfast, Lin Yu drove Chen Wenwen to school first, and then came to the downstairs of Lin Xiaotao's house. Seeing Lin Yu's car approaching, Lin Xiaotao and Yi Susan went straight downstairs and got into his car. "Taozi, and Aunt Yi, have you two had breakfast this morning?" Lin Yu asked softly with a smile. Yi Susan raised the corners of her mouth, showing a gentle smile, and responded, "Lin Yu. Taozi and I got up early this morning and had already eaten at home this morning." Lin Yu nodded. "Okay, then let's set off." After that, Lin Yu started the vehicle and drove straight to the underground station. Soon after, the three of them arrived at the underground station. After parking the car, the three of them got off the car. Lin Yu put away the car, and the three of them walked into the station and bought 3 train tickets to the Magic City. The three of them walked into the waiting hall to wait for departure. Not long after, the announcement sounded. "Train 8848 bound for Magic City is ready to enter the station. Passengers going to Magic City, please prepare to check in and get on the train at platform 3. Lin Yu stood up and looked at Lin Xiaotao and Yi Susan. "Taozi, Aunt Yi, let's go check the tickets." 3 people lined up to check in. When they arrived at the platform, the train just arrived. After boarding the train, the 3 of them were seated in the same row. Lin Xiaotao seemed to be full of endless curiosity about everything around her, and her big bright eyes kept looking around. Then, she held Lin Yu's hand tightly and said excitedly, "Lin Yu, in my life, this is the first time I have taken a train to leave Jinling City." Lin Yu nodded slightly and agreed, "Yes, Taozi. In fact, I have never had such an experience before, and this is just my second time. There is no first class or business class cabin on the underground train. This federal-specific means of transportation does not divide people into 3, 6 or 9 classes." A few minutes later, the train started to move, and the 3 of them each took out their mobile phones and started to kill time. After more than 2 long and excruciating hours, accompanied by a melodious announcement, the train finally stopped slowly on the platform of the Shanghai railway station. The car door opened slowly, and people got off the bus one after another. Lin Yu had an experience, holding the hands of Yi Susan and Lin Xiaotao, and walking towards the exit. After leaving the station, Lin Yu let go of their hands, took out his car, greeted the 2 ladies to get in and sit down, then started the engine, and the car smoothly drove out of the train station and sped towards the city center. Not long after, the vehicle stopped steadily in front of the 5-star hotel where they stayed last time. The 3 of them checked in at the hotel lobby. After everything was settled, they took the elevator to the luxurious suite on the top floor. As soon as she entered the room, Lin Xiaotao was like a cheerful bird and couldn't wait to look around. She first looked at the entire living room carefully, and then looked at each room one by one. There are 2 large and comfortable luxury beds in the 2 bedrooms. Each one is equipped with independent toilet and shower facilities. Looking out through the bright and clean windows, you can clearly see the hustle and bustle below. With its streets and towering skyscrapers in the distance, this is undoubtedly the most dazzling core area of this bustling city. It was midday on a hot summer day, and the scorching sun hung high in the sky, mercilessly scorching everything on the earth. The 3 of them still needed to avoid the hottest time of the day before thinking about going out for fun. As a result, Lin Xiaotao leaned leisurely on the soft and spacious sofa, while searching for relevant travel information on her mobile phone, while seriously making a detailed and comprehensive travel guide. Lin Yu sat cross-legged and checked his system panel. It had been 3 months since he traveled to this world, and he had gained a total of more than 7.7 million free attribute points. The soul ring and soul bones on his body cost nearly 3 million, Tang Yanren's soul bones cost 1 million, and a bunch of soul bones cost more than 1 million, and she still had more than 2 million attribute points left. Lin Yu thought for a while and counted the soul bones on his head to 1 million years, and then counted all the remaining soul bones to 100,000 years. The soul bone of the Rat King's head, age, 100,000 years, soul skills, danger perception, super sense of smell. Anaconda King's torso bone, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, death coil, strong body. The right arm bone of the Swamp Crocodile King, age, 100,000 years, soul skills, armor breaking claw attack, Zejui water dragon break. Swamp Crocodile King's left arm bone, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, death roll, cold blood. The left leg bone of the Jungle Wolf King, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, wolf howl, bright moon, summon of the king. The left leg bone of the rat king, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, fast running, rat king clone. The left arm bone of the diamond lizard king, age, 100,000 years, soul skill, diamond shield, lizard king King Kong break. There are no surprises in the rat's soul bone. The crocodile's soul bone is okay. Zejui water dragon break is a water element attack, and cold blood is a passive skill. It is similar to the ability of cold-blooded animals to control body temperature, allowing people to adapt to various harsh conditions, environment. The Wolf King's left leg is more showy. Wolf Howl and Bright Moon is a buffing skill. The King's summon is the same as Tang Yanren's summon the King's Knights. One summons the undead knights and the other summons the wolves. Ask Tang Yanren if she wants more. The left arm bone of the Diamond Lizard King has a defensive skill and an offensive skill. This thing is particularly suitable for Lin Xiaotao. He has a shield in his left hand and a spear in his right hand. Is this Athena, or the female version of Panson? There are still 1,000,000 years of free attribute points. Lin Yu is not in a hurry to add them. He will stay there and look back. Currently, the natal head soul bone and natal right arm bone on his body are 1,000,000 years old. The second soul weapon is the third. The second soul ring is 1,000,000 years old, and the others are 100,000 years old. He glanced at Lin Xiaotao, who was playing on his mobile phone, and shook his head. What a cute girl. Why is it an airport? Not long after, the hotel waiter brought them lunch, which was some local dishes from Shanghai. The last time he came here, he didn't eat the food in the hotel. Lin Yu picked up the chopsticks and tasted it. It tasted good, and then he greeted them. Come over for a meal. Lin Yu looked at the two of them and said, it's too hot at noon. After lunch, let's go take a nap first and then go out again around 4 in the afternoon. Lin Xiaotao nodded. Yes. I listen to you. After lunch, Lin Yu also changed into a set of pajamas and lay next to Lin Xiaotao. Lin Xiaotao got directly into his arms, and the two began to take a nap. The two slept until about 2 o'clock, and Lin Xiaotao got up and started meditating. She was a diligent girl. She didn't want to live under Lin Yu's protection all the time. She wanted to help Lin Yu and fight for him one day. Lin Yu did not disturb her, quietly left her room, closed the door gently, and sat down on the sofa outside. Yi Susan, who was wearing pajamas, also walked out of the room and sat down next to him. Lin Yu glanced at Yi Susan and said with a smile, why don't Aunt Yi sleep a little longer at noon? Yi Susan said with a smile, since I haven't gone to work, I have a lot of rest time every day, so naturally I don't lack sleep. Lin Yu lay down directly on the sofa and rested his head on Yi Susan's lap. It felt good. It was completely different from resting on Chen Jing's lap. Yi Susan touched his face and let him go. Leaning on the sofa and playing with his mobile phone, Lin Yu asked curiously, Aunt Yi, what kind of martial spirit are you and what level are you? Yi Susan lowered her head and glanced at Lin Yu and said, my martial soul, Black Widow Spider, has a soul power of 29. Lin Yu thought for a while and said, oh, Aunt Yi, do you want to break through to the 3rd level? Yi Susan said with a smile, why do you still think that I can still fight in the wild? Lin Yu sat up and said seriously, if you don't fight, you can protect yourself. Besides, the higher the soul power, the longer you can live. You don't want to live another 20 years, you are already old. Yi Susan put down her phone and looked at Lin Yu seriously, are you sure? Lin Yu took Yi Susan's hand, went to her room and closed the door. When it was almost 4 o'clock, Lin Xiaotao finished her training and went to the living room outside. She did not find Lin Yu and her mother. Then she came to the door of the bedroom opposite, opened the door gently, and saw her mother sitting on the bed refining the soul ring. The sound of bathing came from the bathroom, and she exited the room. Soon after, Lin Yu, who had changed his clothes, walked out of the room and came to sit next to Lin Xiaotao. Lin Xiaotao asked curiously, what did you use for my mother? Fairy medicine or soul bones? Lin Yu said directly, a soul bone without active skills. That soul ring is also the death spider from Crow Ridge. Lin Yu didn't use any particularly good soul bone for Yi Susan, which was the head soul bone of the Rat King. If she didn't fight, it didn't matter that the soul bone had no practicality. It was good to give her the danger perception. After Yi Susan absorbed the 4,000-year-old soul ring, her soul power was just at level 40. Lin Yu sucked away the excess soul power, and he rose to level 35. On the streets of Magic City, Lin Yu accompanied Lin Xiaotao and the others to go shopping, buying whatever they saw suitable. Lin Yu looked like a nouveau riche. Then the three of them came to a luxury jewelry store. Lin Yu saw the jade products that were popular in his previous life. He asked the shopping guide to bring a set of imperial green jewelry for Yi Susan to try. After wearing it, it really looked very beautiful. This set of jewelry includes a necklace, a pair of earrings, a pair of bracelets and a ring. This kind of jewelry is obviously only suitable for women who are not in combat occupations. Faced with Lin Yu's inquiry, Lin Xiaotao shook her head and said no, it would affect the battle too much. Lin Yu bought this set of jewelry, and after thinking about it, he bought 4 more set. Lin Xiaotao asked with some confusion, Lin Yu, why did you buy so many luxury accessories? You can't eat or fight. This money is enough for ordinary people to spend several lifetimes. Lin Yu said with a smile, go back and take my aunt and the others with me. I sold a garbage soul bone some time ago and I have too much money to spend. Lin Xiaotao was also happy. You have what the internet calls the nouveau riche mentality. The three of them left the jewelry store and continued shopping. Lin Yu saw a place selling massage chairs. The three of them went up to try it out. Lin Xiaotao jumped up as soon as she lay down on it, and then shouted, what kind of massage chair is this? Press it all over your body. Being uncomfortable is just asking for trouble. It was normal for Lin Xiaotao to be unable to sit still, but Lin Yu looked at Yi Susan with a look of enjoyment, then bought the 5 sets and took them back to play with. Soon after, the sky darkened, and the three of them found a self-service seafood barbecue. The Great Magic City was different. There were actually soul masters going out to sea to catch seafood. Although the prices of the food were also very expensive, the taste was really good. After dinner, the three of them continued walking on the streets. There were more people on the streets at night than during the day. They tasted various street snacks while shopping. At around 9 o'clock in the evening, the three of them returned to the hotel and each washed and rested. After Lin Yu took a shower, he lay on Lin Xiaotao's bed and soon fell into a deep sleep. When he slowly woke up, his eyes first fell on the curtains illuminated by the morning sun. Through the strands of light, he understood that the sky was already bright at this moment. He turned his eyes slightly and glanced at the clock on the bedside. The hour hand pointed to the number 7. Daozi beside him curled up like a cute kitten, clinging tightly to him. He carefully picked up a thin quilt and gently covered Daozi, for fear of disturbing her sweet dream. Then, he tiptoed out of bed and walked to the bathroom to solve his personal problems. Stepping out of the bedroom and walking into the spacious and bright living room, I saw that Yi Susan had already gotten up. Lin Yu stepped closer and asked softly, Aunt Yi, why don't you rest for a while? With a gentle smile on her lips, Yi Susan replied softly, I have developed the habit of getting up early when I was at home. I have to prepare breakfast for Daozi early. By the way, how well did you rest last night? Lin Yu rubbed his groggy eyes, stretched and said, I was really tired yesterday. As soon as I lay down on the bed, I fell into a deep sleep. I didn't wake up until just now, but this sleep made me feel refreshed. Quite a lot. Oh, I almost forgot, Aunt Yi, this is for you. As he said that, he took out an exquisite storage ring from his pocket and handed it to Yi Susan. Yi Susan did not refuse, and took the ring readily and put it on the ring finger of her left hand. She closed her eyes and felt the spatial fluctuations inside the ring with her heart. After a while, she opened her eyes and transferred all the items originally stored in the storage bag to the new storage ring. After finishing, she handed the empty storage bag back to Lin Yu's hand with a smile. Lin Yu put away his storage bag, stood up, stretched his muscles, and then hugged Yi Susan in front of him. Yi Susan also enjoyed the warmth brought to him by this big boy. After a while, Yi Susan patted Lin Yu's back, okay. Daozi will get up later. Lin Yu let go of his arms, walked to the bathroom with brisk steps, and began to wash up seriously. The sound of water running sounded as if it was playing a cheerful prelude to a new day. After Lin Yu finished washing, he returned to the room. At this time, Lin Xiaotao was still immersed in a sweet dream. The sunlight shines on her face through the window, outlining a peaceful and beautiful picture. Okay, Taozi, it's time to get up. Lin Xiaotao glanced at the time, rubbed her eyes, sat up, yawned, and then slowly got out of bed and went to the bathroom to wash up. When everything was ready, the three people took the elevator to the hotel restaurant to enjoy a delicious breakfast. The hotel's breakfast was in buffet mode. The three of them each selected some of their favorite foods, found an empty table, and chatted happily while tasting the food. As he spoke, laughter echoed in the air from time to time. After breakfast, the three of them left the hotel. Lin Yu took out the car and asked them to get in. Lin Xiaotao sat in the passenger seat and took out her carefully crafted guide and drove towards interesting places. Every time they visit a scenic spot, they will get out of the car excitedly and take out their mobile phones to capture the beautiful moments that belong to each other. Sometimes they take photos in front of ancient buildings, and sometimes they enjoy the gifts of nature in the beautiful natural scenery. The three of them played outside for a whole day. When they returned to the hotel, it was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Lin Xiaotao went to bed after taking a shower. By the time Lin Yu came out of the shower, she was already asleep. After Lin Yu covered her with a thin quilt, he went to Yi Susan's room opposite. At this time, she was still sitting in front of the dressing table, wiping her wet hair. Lin Yu walked over and took the towel from her hand and wiped her hair carefully. Yi Susan looked at Lin Yu behind her through the mirror and asked softly, "Has Taozi fallen asleep?" Lin Yu nodded. "Yeah. You may be tired after a day of shopping." After drying his hair, Lin Yu lay directly on the bed. Yi Susan said with a smile, "Why are you planning to sleep with me tonight?" Lin Yu responded with a smile, "Well, could it be that you want to drive me away?" Yi Susan didn't say anything else. She closed the light and the door, went to the bed and lay down. After Lin Yu covered Yi Susan with a quilt, he returned to the living room and started sitting down cross-legged to practice. He wanted to give the supreme sacred art of the universe and the five thunder heavenly heart techniques. Both techniques have been practiced to the perfection state. After all, these two techniques are both extremely strong and yang techniques. Keeping the yuan-yang body, the speed of cultivation will be much faster. In the hotel restaurant, Lin Xiaotao sat at the table, eating breakfast and looking at her mother Yi Susan opposite with curious eyes. After a while, she finally couldn't help but ask, "Mom, you feel a little different today than usual. But I can't tell you exactly what's different." After saying that, she turned around and asked. He cast his eyes on Lin Yu, who was sitting next to him, and then said, "Lin Yu, do you think my mother has changed a little compared to before?" Lin Yu put down the tableware in his hand, thought seriously for a moment, and then replied, "Well, that's true. Aunt Yi's skin seems to have gotten better, and she looks younger. It seems that the increase in strength level is really good for the skin." Hearing this, Lin Xiaotao nodded in agreement. Yes. That's how it feels." At this time, Yi Susan showed a smile on her face and said lightly, "What nonsense are you two talking about? Lin Yu, when are we going back to Jinling?" Lin Yu responded with a smile, "Aunt Yi, let's go back after visiting all the places mentioned in Dao Zi's carefully crafted travel guide." After breakfast, the three of them embarked on their journey again, strolling through the streets and alleys of the city. By the end of the day, they had visited almost all the scenic spots planned by Dao Zi. As night fell and the lights began to turn on, the three of them dragged their slightly tired bodies back to the hotel. After some discussion, they finally decided to take the train back to Jinling the next afternoon. In the evening, after everyone washed up, Lin Yu stayed in Taozi's room for a while. After she fell asleep, he quietly went to find Yi Susan. Early the next morning, Lin Xiaotao opened her eyes and saw Lin Yu, who was sleeping across from him. She kissed him secretly. Then she got up and went to the bathroom to clean up her personal hygiene. Then she went back to bed. Seeing that Lin Yu had woken up, she got in Lin Yu's arms. Lin Yu asked softly, "Taozi, when do we get up?" Taozi looked at Lin Yu, pouted and said, "I have nothing to do in the morning and I don't want to get up. When we return to Jinling, we won't have so much time together." This is true. Once he returns to Jinling, Lin Yu will definitely not have so much time to spend with Lin Xiaotao. The place where he spent the most time before was Tang Yanren's office. If he had nothing to do, he would almost always stay at home. It wasn't until around 9:30 that the two of them got up to wash up, then tidied up each other before checking out and going downstairs to have breakfast. Lin Yu looked at Yi Susan opposite. Aunt Yi, there's nothing to do in the morning anyway. Let's go to the market here and buy some food and daily necessities to go back to, so that we can save the time in the capital to buy these. Yi Susan nodded and said with a smile, yes, I listen to you. After breakfast, the three of them went to the market here to buy ingredients and daily necessities. As long as they were used in daily household life, they bought in large quantities. By the time they returned to the downstairs of Lin Xiaotao's house in Jinling City, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Yi Susan and Lin Xiaotao got out of the car. Yi Susan looked at Lin Yu with a smile. Lin Yu, why don't you go up and sit for a while? Lin Yu smiled and shook his head. No, Aunt Yi. I'll come over next time. Lin Yu bid farewell to them and drove away. He did not choose to go home, but came to Jinling No. 1 Middle School and Tang Yanren's office. Tang Yanren was not in the office at this time. Lin Yu came to the bathroom, soaked the clothes she had changed in the past few days in the pool, took out a massage chair and found an empty place to put it on, and then found a place to start meditating. Soon after Tang Yanren returned to the office, she didn't feel strange when she saw Lin Yu here. Instead, she lay on the massage chair and started adjusting the massage. After Lin Yu had been practicing for 2 weeks, he glanced at Tang Yanren on the massage chair, and then asked, "Are you done with school work?" Tang Yanren shook her head. It's not that fast, but the students' test results have come out, and they still have to fill in their applications and get diplomas and so on. They should graduate at the same time as the liberal arts students. In this world, soul masters are not superior to ordinary people. Human technological weapons are still very effective against low-level soul masters, and high-tech talents are still the backbone of the Federation. They are much more powerful than soul masters in some fields. Just like the soul ring extractor they usually use, it was invented by high-tech talents without soul power. After dinner, Tang Yanren lay on the bed after taking a shower. Watching Lin Yu wash their clothes and hang them on the balcony, she asked curiously, "Aren't you going back tonight?" Lin Yu smiled and said, "Yeah, I'll sleep with you tonight." Lin Yu finished handling the matters at hand, closed the doors and windows, drew the curtains, and turned off the lights. Then he came to lie down next to Tang Yanren and put her in his arms. Lin Yu replaced his natal head soul bone with the Frost Skeleton King's head soul bone, which lowered the temperature in the room. Lin Yu lamented, "The school is so stingy that it won't even give you an air conditioner." Tang Yanren shook her head and said, "There is air conditioning in the public office of the school. I moved here because I wanted to be quiet. Principal Wu also told me about the air conditioning problem. I was too embarrassed to bother him at the time, so I just moved here." Rejected. You have to be thick-skinned. I think about it. Last time I went to the Magic City, I got a left leg bone from the Jungle Wolf King. The soul skill is similar to your right leg bone. It can summon wolves to attack. Although the wolf packs, the strength may be much inferior to the Death Knights of the King's Knights, but the victory is due to their huge numbers. Tang Yanren nodded. Well, then you can keep it for me first. Don't worry for now, wait until I finish absorbing the 8th soul ring. There are a lot of things going on these days, I want to go to bed early. Lin Yu nodded. Well, then go to bed early. Tang Yanren looked at Lin Yu in front of her, took the initiative to kiss him, and then fell asleep on his arm. There was no words all night. The next morning, after Lin Yu had breakfast with Tang Yanren, he returned home. After opening the door, he saw Chen Jing sitting on the table in a daze. When Lin Yu opened the door and came in, Chen Jing smiled directly. "Xiao Yu, you're back." Lin Yu walked up to her and hugged her directly. Chen Jing felt that her whole mood improved a lot. After a long time, Chen Jing said, okay. I can't breathe anymore." Hearing what Chen Jing said, Lin Yu released his hands, returned to the room, took out a massage chair, found a place to put it, turned on the power, and let Chen Jing try it. Chen Jing also enjoyed the massage of the massage chair. Soon after, the two came to the life space. Chen Jing went to the orchard chicken coop to pick up eggs, and Lin Yu released the growth of all things to the flowers and plants. After a while, Chen Jing came over with a bowl of eggs. Xiao Yu, you haven't picked up eggs in the past few days, right? You have picked up more than 100 eggs. Well, I really haven't come in much these days. There was nothing going on in the life space, so the two went back outside. Chen Jing went to prepare lunch. After lunch, Lin Yu took out a set of jade jewelry. Chen Jing took off the deep-sea soul pearl necklace and earrings and put on them. Jade jewelry. Then I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. In terms of appearance alone, the jade necklace is indeed much prettier than the pearl necklace. Chen Jing walked out of the bathroom and asked with a smile, Xiao Yu, what do you think of this? Lin Yu found that the jade jewelry worn by Chen Jing was indeed very beautiful, and nodded, it looks good. The main thing is that if you are beautiful, you will look good no matter what you wear. Yeah, I think it looks pretty too. Xiao Yu, put that pearl necklace away. I'll give it to your girlfriend later. I don't like to practice, so wearing it on me is really a waste of natural resources. Lin Yu knew that what Chen Jing said was not a lie, so he took out a box and put it in it. Lin Yu returned to the room and began to practice, hoping to break through to the realm of perfection as soon as possible. Chen Jing lay on the bed and began to take a nap. After Lin Yu practiced his skills for 2 weeks, he went to take a nap with Chen Jing in his arms. Chen Jing opened her eyes and glanced at him, then found a comfortable position and continued to fall asleep. For the next few days, Lin Yu stayed at home. Monday was the day for Chen Wenwen's high school entrance examination. After breakfast, Lin Yu and Chen Jing sent Chen Wenwen to the examination room together. Although the capital promised to enroll her, the exam is still necessary, not only for the graduation certificate, but also to test the learning results of the 3 years of junior high school. When Chen Wenwen entered the examination room, Lin Yu drove Chen Jing back. After returning home, at 11 o'clock, Lin Yu rode a motorcycle to the entrance of Jinling Middle School to wait for Chen Wenwen to leave the examination room. Looking at the waiting parents outside, no one is wearing a cheongsam. There is no demographic dividend in Blue Star. Everyone can go to high school. Of course, high school is still based on grades. In fact, the grades of their number 1 middle school are only average. They are much worse than the high school affiliated to Nanjing Normal University and Jinling Middle School. In fact, they are just top students and top students. The difference between ordinary students. Ding ding ding. The crisp and rapid ringing suddenly resounded throughout the entire campus, as if a sharp sword cut through the originally tense and solemn atmosphere. With the ringing of the bell, an important exam finally came to an end. The students walked out of the classroom one after another relieved, with either relief or worry on their faces, but no matter what, they were temporarily relieved at this moment. Let go of the heavy burden on my mind. It didn't take long for Lin Yu to see Chen Wenwen in the crowd and waved to her. When Chen Wenwen found Lin Yu waving to her not far away, a bright smile immediately broke out on her face and she quickened her pace and trotted over. Elder brother. A cordial call came into his ears, and Lin Yu could not help but feel a surge of warmth in his heart. He smiled and handed the helmet in his hand to Chen Wenwen. The latter took it with joy and quickly put it on his head. Then he climbed onto the back seat of the motorcycle skillfully and hugged his brother's waist tightly. Sit tight, we're about to set off. Lin Yu reminded gently. As soon as he finished speaking, he lightly turned the accelerator, and the motorcycle instantly made a low and powerful roar, and then sped away like an arrow from a string. The road was very windy and the scenery on both sides retreated rapidly. The two of them soon returned to the downstairs of their home. After getting off the car, Chen Wenwen took off her helmet and handed it to Lin Yu. Brother, I think motorcycles are much more interesting than cars. You can feel the wind. Lin Yu said with a smile. That's just in case of good weather. If it rains, the motorcycle will not work. Let's go home. The two of them went upstairs and returned home. At this time, Chen Jing had already carefully prepared a sumptuous lunch. The table was full of Chen Wenwen's favorite dishes. The family sat together and enjoyed a warm meal. After a full meal, Chen Wenwen took a short rest and then fell into a sweet dreamland. When the time was almost up, Lin Yu once again sent Chen Wenwen to the examination room, cheering her up and hoping that she could achieve excellent results in the next examination. Score. After Chen Wenwen entered the examination room, Lin Yu came to the door of No. 1 Middle School. As a result, the guard was very disrespectful to him today and refused to let him enter the school. There was no way to do it. After all, number 1 middle school was also the high school entrance examination room. Lin Yu did not force it and transferred to Lin Xiaotao's house. Dong dong dong. Lin Yu knocked on the door of Lin Xiaotao's house. The door was opened by Yi Susan. Seeing Lin Yu outside, Yi Susan said with surprise, "Come in quickly." "Why did you remember coming here today?" Lin Yu said with a smile. "I just sent my sister to the examination room, so I stopped by to have a look." "Where is Daozi?" Yi Susan said with a smile. "Daozi just went out to play with her little sister." "Why don't you give her a call?" Lin Yu shook his head. "No. I have to pick up my sister later." Yi Susan made Lin Yu a cup of tea, and the two chatted for a while about Lin Xiaotao. Lin Yu stayed here until more than 3 o'clock, then got up and left Taozi's house, and went to Jinling Middle School to pick up Chen Wenwen from the examination room. The high school entrance examination lasted for 2.5 days. After Lin Yu followed Chen Wenwen home at noon on the third day, Chen Wenwen was completely liberated. Now she was waiting to get her diploma and files before leaving for the capital. At about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lin Yu came to No. 1 middle school. This time no one stopped him. He came to Tang Yanren's office. Tang Yanren was also in the office today, sitting at the desk and looking through something. Lin Yu turned and walked to the bathroom, soaked the clothes she had changed in the past few days in the basin, and then sat down opposite her. "I planned to come to you these 2 days, but when I arrived at the gate, I was stopped and refused to let me in." Tang Yanren raised her head slightly, looked at Lin Yu opposite, and responded softly, "Even if you come here during the day, I'm afraid I won't have time to talk to you. The school has assigned me the task of invigilating the exam, and I can't get away." When Lin Yu heard this, he couldn't help complaining. "The school clearly knows that you are about to leave, but it still arranges the invigilation work like this. It's just a sheep like you, and it's so hard to harvest the wool." Tang Yanren smiled and interrupted his complaint. "Okay. We are about to leave, so don't worry about these things anymore. By the way, did you see the notice from the school? It said you should come over on the 10th. Receive your diploma and files." Lin Yu nodded, indicating that he was aware of the matter, and then said, "Well, I originally planned for us to go to the capital together on the 20th. There shouldn't be any problems on your side, right?" Tang Yanren thought for a while. "I should be finished with all my work on the 20th, so there should be no problem." Lin Yu sent a message to Chen Jing, saying that he would not go back at night. Chen Jing quickly replied with an understanding. After putting away the phone, Lin Yu went to the room to meditate. During dinner, Tang Yanren asked curiously, "I found that you have been practicing a little harder recently than before." Lin Yu nodded. "I want to practice the 2 martial arts to the realm of perfection as soon as possible." As for why he wanted to practice to the realm of perfection, he didn't have the nerve to tell Tang Yanren. After dinner, after Tang Yanren took a bath, Lin Yu also took a bath, and then washed their clothes and hung them on the balcony. Lin Yu went to practice for 2 more days, then returned to bed and hugged Tang Yanren. "Yanren, you haven't told me who your enemy is yet." Tang Yanren then said, "I'm telling you now, if you can't get through it, it will only increase your troubles. You will know it when you get to the capital. I heard from the teacher that he is currently working for the royal family in the imperial city." "Okay, I really have a fate with the Daxia royal family. I forced Yin Zuyan to stab himself last time. It seems that we will meet him again when we get to the capital." Tang Yanren smiled and said, "You are unprecedented in being able to force the Prince of Daxia to commit suicide. Okay, I want to sleep." After Tang Yanren finished speaking, she fell asleep on Lin Yu's arm and stayed silent all night. After breakfast the next day, Lin Yu returned home. At noon, Zhao Qingdi sent him some pictures and added a voice message. "It's hard to find a 1-bedroom house, is a 2-bedroom house okay?" Lin Yu replied directly, "As long as you have enough money, there is no problem with a 2-bedroom apartment. If you don't have enough money, I will remit some more to you." "Enough money. The remaining money is enough for me to spend the rest of my life." Lin Yu didn't go anywhere in the next 2 days. He stayed at home and chatted with his classmates. Lin Yu made an appointment with a few people to get together at noon on the 10th. Time flew by like a fleeting moment, and in a blink of an eye it was around 12 o'clock on the day of the 9th. At this time, Lin Yu was looking at Chen Jing opposite and said softly, "Auntie, I'm going to go out. I may not be there tonight." Back. Hearing this, Chen Jing nodded slightly and responded with a smile, "Yeah. Got it, Xiao Yu, have you found the girl you like?" Lin Yu smiled and replied, "I'm here to find Teacher Tang." Hearing this, Chen Jing was a little surprised. "Teacher Tang is indeed pretty. I originally thought you would go to the little girl named Taozi." During this period of time, because Lin Yu had been staying at home, he often talked to Lin Xiaotao on his mobile phone, so it was not surprising that Chen Jing knew Lin Xiaotao. Lin Yu explained to Chen Jing, "Auntie, the full name of the Taozi you are talking about is Lin Xiaotao. She was our class monitor for 3 years in high school." Chen Jing nodded and said, "That's the little girl with the baby face. I went to hold a parent-teacher conference for you before, but I met her twice. The little girl does seem quite lovable." Lin Yu and Chen Jing chatted for a few words, and then left home to go to Jinling College to find Tang Yanren. Wednesday, July 10th. Lin Yu opened his eyes and saw the sunlight through the curtains. He took a look at his mobile phone and saw that it was already 6 o'clock in the morning. Tang Yanren was still sleeping soundly. He got up carefully and went to the bathroom to clean up his personal hygiene before starting practice. At 7 o'clock, Tang Yanren was woken up by the alarm. She got up and took care of her personal hygiene, and then started to wash up. After losing her right arm, she almost didn't practice. Lin Yu regretted not buying the 2,000-year-old salamander trunk bone that day. I hope she can find a way to restore her arm after arriving in the capital. After the two had breakfast, Tang Yanren went to the school's public office, while Lin Yu returned to the classroom. Some classmates had already arrived. Lin Yu came to his seat and sat down. Lu Ning came to the side and sat down. He pouted and said, "Lin Yu, you took the squad leader to the Magic City and didn't even take me with you." Lin Yu said helplessly, "I want to take you with me too. But Taozi is with her mother, so be it." Lu Ning, "It's still early for you to go to Wuhun City anyway, so why not go to the capital with us to have some fun?" Lu Ning shook his head and said, "You all go to the capital to go to school, and when the time comes, you will go to the academy. I will be alone and play outside. It's not interesting." Lin Yu was right. He must have been very busy in the past few days at first, and then said, "Lu Ning, that's great. When we go to the capital to arrange everything, you can go there, and I will accompany you well then. Just for fun, if you are afraid of being bored by yourself, you can wear it with your mother. If you want to stay in a hotel then, it's fine. If you don't want to stay in a hotel, I'll arrange a place for you to stay." When Lu Ning heard what Lin Yu said, he thought it made sense. Then he smiled and said, "Yeah. It's settled then. I'll go home and ask my mother if she wants to do it." As there were more and more students in the classroom, Lu Ning returned to his seat, and Yang Dabao and Xu Dewei also came over. When it came to where to eat at noon, Lin Yu had not thought about it. It was still early before noon anyway. Wait and see. After everyone arrived, Lin Xiaotao and Tang Yanren each came in with a box containing graduation certificates and student files. Tang Yanren looked at the students below and said, "Whose name should I read out now? Whoever comes up to get the graduation certificate and files, by the way, sign his name, Wei Shengjian." A male classmate walked up and signed his name on a form. Lin Xiaotao on the side took out his graduation certificate and portfolio and handed it over. Du Qian. After all the students got their diplomas, Tang Yanren said, "Okay. Dear students, now you have your diplomas and files. As for the college admission notice, it will be sent to your home by mail. What I want to say is that your high school life is over, and your new college career is waiting for you. As a teacher, I have said what I should say before, and I will say one last thing, I am here to wish you all a bright future. Get out of class is over." Pa bang bang. There was a roar of applause, and everyone said goodbye to Tang Yanren one after another, and then walked out of the classroom. In the end, only Lin Yu and a few others were left who were ready to leave Lin Moxu. Classmate Lin Moxu. Lin Moxu was about to leave the classroom, but she heard Lin Yu calling her. She stopped and turned around to look at Lin Yu curiously. Lin Yu had not taken the initiative since he sold her fruits and vegetables twice 3 months ago. Speak to yourself. Lin Moxu asked curiously. Is something wrong, classmate Lin Yu? Lin Yu said with a smile. We have decided to get together at noon, do you have time? Lin Moxu thought for a while, nodded and said, okay. Lin Yu was also surprised. He asked politely because he was a classmate. He really didn't expect that Lin Moxu would agree so readily. Then, the six of them slowly walked out of the campus gate. Lin Yu took out the car from the space, but when he saw the small space inside the car, he couldn't help but frown. It obviously couldn't accommodate 6 people. At this moment, Lin Moxu said softly, Lu Ning, how about you ride in my family's car with me? Her voice was clear and sweet, like the sound of nature. Lu Ning nodded immediately and agreed. Well, that's good too. Having said that, everyone turned their attention to a luxury car parked not far away. It turned out that it was the car of Lin Moxu's family. At this moment, Uncle Fu, who was in charge of driving, saw his young lady walking out of the school gate and opened the car door early. Welcome the host to the car. Lin Moxu stepped forward gracefully, walked side by side with Lu Ning, and boarded her car together, while Lin Xiaotao and 3 other people got into Lin Yu's car one after another. Lin Xiaotao still chose to sit in the passenger seat, and just like that, the 2 cars drove away from the place one after another and sped away in the same direction. Not long after, the 2 cars stopped steadily in front of a seemingly ordinary private club. After everyone got off the car one after another, they followed Lin Moxu closely and entered the club. However, what is unexpected is that although the appearance of this hall is simple and unpretentious, its interior decoration is original and unique. The entire layout is like an exquisite garden, full of rich historical atmosphere, as if people are traveling back in time. A dreamland. This position was chosen by Lin Moxu. Lin Yu had never been here before. It should be said that he had never heard of such a place. According to his own statement, he belonged to the nouveau riche and had not integrated into the circle of the upper class. Of course, I didn't even think about integrating into the so-called circle. Lin Moxu took them to a tea room and sat down. A beautiful young lady brought some refreshments and then knelt down on a futon to make tea for them. Yang Dabao murmured in a low voice, oh my goodness. Is this a place where I can come? Lin Yu said with a smile, fat man, don't think that their circle is very high-end. These days, strength still speaks. When you can reach the Soul Saint Queen one day, you will find that all this is just a cloud. Those who usually seem to be aloof. People will be careful to curry favor with you. If you are not strong enough, even if you have hundreds of billions of assets, in the eyes of the so-called upper class, you will still be an old hater, and your strength determines your horizons. Quote. Yang Dabao nodded. Okay. It seems we have to improve our strength. On the other side, Lin Moxu's driver, the man named Fu Bo, came to the club chairman's office and saluted a beautiful woman. Meet madam. The lady frowned and said, Ah Fu, shouldn't you take Mo Shui home? Ah Fu said quickly. Go back to madam, the eldest lady is here with several classmates, including the daughter of Director Liu of the Federation, and the male classmate who sold fruits and vegetables to the eldest lady a few months ago. And this male classmate and driving a car with federal license plates. When the lady heard Ah Fu say this, she became interested. Okay. Go down. It's ma'am. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.